Town Manager Chris Bronson. Outside agencies?
Yes. In keeping with trying to not drown you in information during the budget season itself, we're trying to spread it out a little bit. We've been doing that over the course of the year. So keeping with that, we had Dawn. Come on up, Dawn. Okay.
It's on.
You know, it's sort of been scattershot in the years before as to the applications and what the criteria, what we asked to look at for documentation. So Dawn's been working on this for a few months after we went to governance, and they gave it a blessing. We wanted to be more consistent. So she had gone out, solicited a formal application to people who have previously been granted grants under this program from the town, and new prospective people. So they all went under the same criteria. We gave you a packet for it, and what we figured is some of them are well known to you, so we didn't have them come this evening. Their information is in the packet about how much they've asked for and what they've used it for in the past, what they're asking for this year, and what they're going to use it for. These are some new groups, and one a group, the ERFC, that we love in town, and every year they come forward to get some funds for grant money for children for their summer camp. So they actually have come this evening. So Dawn can go into a little bit further, but this is for your review. So during the budget, when these things come up, we won't have to be asking you to review it. You'll have this information. You can make your decision in caucus or during our budget deliberations. Dawn?
So what we've asked folks to do today is come forward and give you like 5 to 10 minutes overview about their agency, what they intend to do with the funding from the town, and then offer you the opportunity to ask a few questions. So tonight we have with us Jay Burton from Survivor's Journey, Lorraine Creedon and Monica Wright from Enfield People for People, which is our warming center, Dave Mizell and Chuck Horner from Educational Resources for Children, and Sherry Paquette from the Asnunta Community College Foundation. So those are the 4 we have for you tonight. Okay?
Thank you.
Anything you need before we send them up?
Anything from anyone? No?
Okay.
Thank
Jay,
you.
you're on.
Ask you to do is just and if I haven't counted to get across the whole
Welcome,
room,
sir.
let me know.
Just name and your agency if you want.
Sure.
Go
My
ahead.
name is
You have the
Jay
floor.
Burton. The organization is Survivor Journeys. The first and foremost question I have is, just so I know my audience, is how many people here have either been directly affected by cancer or have had loved ones who have had cancer? Okay. Well, I'm a survivor of leukemia and a stem cell transplant, and I am a primary care physician who's practiced here in Enfield for 30 years at Enfield Medical Associates. The first thing I tell everyone when I give a brief talk about what I'm going to be talking about right now is that, one, the definition of a cancer survivor. It is when you are diagnosed with cancer. It's not when you finish treatment, and it's because you go into survival mode when someone tells you you have cancer. Everything changes in your life. How do you fit cancer in your life? It's not that. That's not it. It's how your life fits into cancer. Also, very important definition to know is what is cancer survivorship. It is living before, during, and after treatment. And if nothing else comes about from tonight, I hope you will remember those 2 definitions. Survivor Journeys is a nonprofit organization that began in March of 2015. The genesis of it was during the year after my stem cell transplant. I recognized that not only here but nationally, there are very few services for cancer survivors. There are a lot of wonderful organizations that raise money for cancer research, and the reason that people and organizations give money for cancer research is because they usually had someone they loved who had cancer. The problem with those funds is very little goes to taking care of the actual cancer survivor. So the reason why you're donating really is not being addressed, meaning the reason you're donating it was to take, you remembered what happened with your loved one and how they lived their lives or how they were not able to live their lives. So the research goes to curing cancer, which we all want, but very little of those monies goes to helping those cancer survivors live those days. So in Survivor Journeys, our mission is to help with the emotional, social, and educational support of cancer survivors, their families, and caregivers. We have cancer-specific support groups. We have a caregiver support group. We have an adult survivor and cancer and caregiver mentoring program where people who are further along on their journey mentor people that are just starting. And we have national partners. So we have the ability to connect with more than 10,000 mentors nationally. So if we don't have anyone locally for, let's say, a 36-year-old single mom who has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and is being treated a certain way, we reach out to our partners nationally, and somebody in Kansas City may be able to connect with somebody locally. This is a unique program. I can tell you that I speak nationally on cancer survivorship, and no one's doing this in the community. They may be doing it through a hospital, university, or government agency, but no one's doing this in the community. We also have a pet therapy program, and then we just started last year an educational forum called Cancer Survivorship 101, where we have national leaders in this topic from cancer centers come and talk about topics essential regarding cancer survivorship. Fear and anxiety of recurrence, talks about nutrition, about physical rehabilitation. This year, it's going to be Saturday, June 8th, up at the Basketball Hall of Fame, and we extended our program a little bit, and we're expanding our topics. If anyone's interested, our website is on the brochures. Certainly, please look. And we taped Cancer Survivorship 101 last year, so it's actually on the website. We try to collaborate with people. So we collaborate with national organizations like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, the American Cancer Society. In West Springfield, there's an organization called Cancer House of Hope. We partner with Livestrong. We have business partners such as Big Y. The major aspect of any nonprofit organization is to try to create awareness of what you're trying to do. And that's our rate-limiting factor as well. Cancer survivors are so busy trying to get their cancer treated, as are their families involved. What happens in the oncologist's office is really, this sounds surprising, but that's the easy part. It's the easy part because there are drugs to prescribe, tests to order, other doctors to refer you to. But very little of that time gets devoted to asking that patient how they're getting through their lives. How are they getting to their appointments? How are they getting their food? How are they paying for their medicines? How are they getting their kids to soccer practice when they're going through chemotherapy? There's a lot of social aspects to being a cancer patient, a cancer survivor, that really don't get addressed. I've lived this. I know this. I'm a doctor. I know both sides of the fence, and there are very few people nationally that have my skill set. This is about trying to grow what we're doing here in Northern Connecticut and Western Massachusetts, and one person at a time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
And just for the record, the request is for $5,000 to provide and expand this service in the community.
So, doctor, when you mean expand, what does that mean, A, and B? Just curious. I was reading through the brochure and having experienced this with my mother. Do you offer services for part of, and I know this is probably not, but part of the difficulty when you're going through that is actually working through all the forms and with the insurance company, what actually to go through, you know, what tests you should go do, whether you get a second opinion, you know, depending on the diagnosis. Is that part of this? Is that something you'd like to expand to? Because I can remember personally how stressful it was when we got the initial diagnosis. And quite frankly, it wasn't correct. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, we went and got a second opinion. But how many people would know, you know, again, because again, there's a trust level with doctors, and there should be, but the old trust but verify type thing. So I didn't know if that was sort of your expansion of your program.
This is more of an emotional support type of program where people get together who have had similar circumstances and treatments, discuss how they got through. It's while there are educational aspects about cancer. In fact, just last week we had an event where we had one of the registered dietitians come and talk to some of our survivors. As a side effect of what we do, there's information and education about cancer and treatments that are available. A number of the patients in town get treated in town, but a lot of them get treated out of town. Right. And so those experiences are brought to people who are not going out of town, and that increases their education about what they're going through and what they should advocate for.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Bosco.
Where will these meetings be held? Are they going to be held in Enfield?
Well, right now we have a blood cancer support group that we've had for about 3 years that's held at the Senior Center. I'd like to be able to increase what's available here. Enfield historically, and I can say historically, I've been here for 30 years, has had a lot of services that are basically farmed out. They're in either Hartford or Springfield. And there are a lot of practices here now from Hartford that weren't here when I started. So a lot of patients have to travel out of town. One of the things that I'd like to be able to try to investigate and develop is that there's a national Livestrong program that works through the Y. And I was wondering why they don't have it here in the Scantic Y. It's a 12-week physical therapy program for cancer survivors that gets them moving.
Now, if you didn't get all the funds and you got a portion of funds, you'd still be able to offer these services?
I'm the president of a nonprofit organization. I work with nothing. So, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great answer. Great answer. Anyone have any questions?
No, I just
Councilor Casati.
I just have one comment looking through your brochure here. And I see coming soon, support group for young adults. I think that's very important, and it's good, and I'm glad to see that.
It's a very hard group to try to develop.
I'm sure it is, but it's something that's needed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any questions? Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Did everyone get a brochure? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome, name and program. Thank you both.
Thank you. I'm Lorraine Creedon. I'm the treasurer for Enfield People for People.
Monica Wright, director of Enfield Safe Harbor Warming Center.
The Warming Center was initiated in the fall of 2015. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with us. It was initiated by the Christians United in Service. It was a group of 5 churches located primarily in this area of the town: St. Patrick's, St. Adalbert's, Calvary Presbyterian, and the United Methodist Church of Enfield, and Ministries of Love and Hope. And we were looking for projects to work on, and one of our members said, we need to keep our people warm. So we got together, we worked with Pam, who was the Director of Social Services here at the time, and other organizations within the community, and we were able to open the Safe Harbor Warming Center in that winter in 2016. So we have the support of many churches in town, but we are not a church-owned organization. The Enfield People for People was founded in 1988 and originally chartered to provide housing and affiliated services. And we had 2 successful affordable housing projects, one in the Hazardville section and one here in the Thompsonville section. And then the group was going to dissolve, and we decided to look at some other types of projects. We looked at some supportive housing and other projects to help our people in the community with housing and sheltering. And we were not successful at the time, and the company went dormant for a while. And then this came along, and once they opened, we were able to support them. Enfield People for People supported the Warming Center for their first year, providing fundraising and other assorted things that they needed, because we are a 501c3. And in August of 2017, the Warming Center assumed the charter. So now the Enfield Safe Harbor Warming Center is a program under the Enfield People for People. And we are in our 4th year at this point in time. And Monica is going to tell you about how we operate.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm the director, also the operations manager at Enfield Safe Harbor Warming Center. I've been doing it since the beginning, since we started. And I can honestly say that over the years, I look back, we've been very successful. We provide a safe, warm space for our homeless people here in Enfield. We're located at Holy Trinity Church up on Hazard Avenue, and we operate from 9 p.m. in the evening until 7 a.m. in the morning. When our guests do arrive, we do have hot meals that are provided by donation from area restaurants, and we also offer them snacks. One of the things I'd like to say is that we average about maybe 9 a night. Our capacity is 13, due to the space that we have. Since we've been in operation, we've been able to help our guests find employment. We've been able to help our guests find housing. We've been able to help our guests connect to community resources and community providers to help them to find housing. One thing I like to say about the Warming Center is that we've also helped people who would normally sleep outside, in parks, in the woods, wherever they can find a safe place to just come in from the cold. And also so they can have that camaraderie with other people. It kind of breaks up the monotony of being homeless. One thing I like to say is that as an advocate for homeless and what we're looking for in regards to the grant is we like to extend our hours of operation, meaning to open up for the January 1st winter season. We usually open up around the 14th, which is the middle of the month. But we really would like to open up earlier so that we can allow them to have a little bit more time to come in from the cold. As you know, that this year was really cold in the beginning, and we had no space for them to go. But as we opened up, we also saw more colder temperatures, and we had more people come in. So we're really looking for some assistance to help not only just open our doors, but also to offer other things to the guests that do come in, as far as offering vouchers for clothing. We do provide transportation, which is in our budget, such as bus passes and tokens, so that they can get there safely to where we are, and also so that they can leave in the morning. One of the things that's a challenge to us is the Sunday, from Sunday morning to Sunday night. As you know, the Magic Carpet does not run. So we'd like to, be able to have something in our budget so we can hire maybe an Uber or a taxi service to help shuttle our people. over to the warming center so they don't have to walk on the dark roads from Thompsonville to Hazardville.
I think it's one of the things when we say that we average 9 or 10 people a night, that in the first year we served 35 people.
Yep.
And last year it was 25, and this year it's more. I think the last count was that 15 people had already been through here.
Right.
And so and when we say 9, that really is just the average.
Just the
How many
average.
people we're serving.
Yeah, well, cumulative, we had 722. We had 13 men come through, 4 women, and we had 3 families. One of the families that we had come through was a family of 7. So we are seeing families come in with children. These are usually families who live in their vehicles, who have to come in because it's too cold for the children. So when I say the cumulative number, that's just the regular, but we have different people. Some people may come in for a night, maybe 2 nights, but for the most part, we did at one point hit our total capacity, and we did that for just about a week.
And Mr. Mayor, again, for the record, you have it in the packet, and I think I'll give this out to you again during the budget in case you've lost it, but their request is for $10,000, and they're a new applicant this year.
Yes. I'd like to just add to, also what we're looking for to help offset. We do make our own volunteer packets where I do the trainings, and, we do a lot of things, publications in-house. We would also looking to offset the cost so we can make sure that we have the training brochures we need for our volunteer who mostly staff our warming center, and also things such as copiers and other supplies so that we can make sure that the operations run smoothly at the warming center for our guests and for the safety of our staff who are also there.
Thank you for what you're doing. There's obviously a need for this. There's no doubt about that.
You're welcome.
My question to you is, what is your budget now? What is your budget now, and where is the money coming from? And you're asking for, is it $10,000? Where do you anticipate that $10,000 going?
Our current budget is $25,000. And that's primarily spent on salaries for our staff. We have 1 paid person on every night. And in order to expand the timeline that we, by 2 weeks, a good portion of that money would go to help pay those salaries. Our current funding is primarily from donations of individuals in the community, organizations in the community. We have we had 1 grant just for the first time this year, but it was not a financial grant, it was a goods grant. And so they were able to supply us with a lot of the goods that we need for our guests. Goods are not our issue. We have amazing charitable people in this town, and anytime we ask for anything for our guests, we get that. But what we do need is the financial support in order to be able to pay our staff if we want to open the hours for a longer period of time, like by weeks and also by hours. We've had some days where they haven't been able to leave because of the storm. That's an additional expense for salary, so we can have a paid person on staff, paid staff on site with the guests.
As well as the cost
More
for
question.
transportation, too.
Transportation.
I assume you have a board of directors.
Yes,
Where,
many of who are here tonight.
where does the board come from? Are these basically people from the various churches, or how does one become a member of your board?
The board is made up of people from the community and churches in town. And if anyone would like to sit on the board, I believe we have vacancies. We do publish small articles about ourselves, asking for volunteers and members to sit on the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess my question is, do you work with our social services to help the guests to find probably a more permanent, positive situation for themselves?
Absolutely. One of the things that that I do is I do get in touch with our town social worker, and her and I do meet and discuss the guests we have. that's one of the big important pieces of not only just having the warming center, but to make sure that those who come through the doors of the warming center are also connected to the resources and to the community providers that they need, so that we can remedy their situation and find them affordable and permanent housing. That's one of the, the big things. We absolutely work with Loaves and Fishes. We work with Enfield Food Shelf. We've also started working with CHR in Manchester, their housing department, passing on names of our guests for the PATH program. So not only are we really providing the warm, safe space, we're also, providing them resources that they need, so that we won't have to see them next year come through the door, and that they'll be able to be self-sufficient and have housing.
What's the total capacity for one night that we're able to do?
We are allowed to have up to 13 guests
in our current
location. We are looking to move to another location. We're very grateful that Holy Trinity Episcopal Church has allowed us to use their space for now. But at this time, we are only allowed up to 13.
Yes, I think the service that you offer is of need in our town.
Thank you.
Just, going back and asking the question, you're servicing between 9 to 13 people. You're offering services to these people, and you're directing them in the right way. How many of these 9 are, let's say, year after year after year, since you've been here for 4 years? Are we helping some of these people, or are some of these people the ones that keep coming back every year?
Well, it's really...
Hopefully not.
Well, it's really unique. We have 3 guests who are returns since the beginning due to issues that, they deal with as far as mental health or whatever other situations they're in. But one thing that we have seen since our doors have been open is people who actually are employed but are not able to afford housing. So those are the guests that we really, try to get into the system. They usually, unfortunately, slip under the radar. So, and that would be another thing with getting the grant money to help them, get to libraries and help with resume writing and, have the supplies that they need so that, they can get themselves in a position where they can find housing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Monica, you mentioned that you actually have gotten people some housing.
Yes.
Can you describe that scenario? So again, another good thing that doesn't get promoted enough, where again, we're providing a service to, again, get people to be self-sufficient and feel that independence that is such a great feeling. So explain that, and how, again, you're looking to expand that. So it's not just
Right.
providing a shelter for a night, it's
Right.
actually beyond that.
It's beyond that. So absolutely, there's the first case scenario I would like to is the family of 7. It was 5 children and the parents who came through our door because of eviction. Actually, it was immediately I was on the phone to Hartford and Salvation Army to get them, first of all, out of the warming center, because it's not a place for children. We're just in transition here. But the fortunate thing was we were able to get them into shelter in Hartford, and then from there they spent maybe 3 months before they were able to get a voucher for permanent housing. So that's like really just being more proactive and pushing people through the system. We had a couple who were sent to us from Hartford because of overflow. And, just working with that couple, they both came in, they both found jobs, they both, decided to stay at the warming center to save up their money to move. So when they did save up their money, they went back to Hartford, which was their home, and now they're married and they have like a newborn baby. So it's just things like that, we are actually helping and working with the people. I say that we are a warming center with privileges because we have so many resources that we work with to help people, get through the system.
And I think that's what needs to be, this is glad that you're here, is to give you this chance to explain that to people. So it's not just we're providing a home for a
Right.
night. And again, I think, seeing all these corporate partners who, again, people don't realize how well of corporate partnership we have in this, and only that organizations who just help out with never asking for any publicity, never putting their name in the paper, who continue to do it day in and day out.
Absolutely. And, the big piece, too, is with the transportation that comes out of our budget. They're really grateful, and it's something that they need because a lot of them do not have vehicles, but they're able to use that monthly bus pass to, go to the library and put in job applications and go to job interviews and even go to doctor's appointments and things like that. And that is a big expense, but we decided that if we're going to help them, then this is an expense that we really need to do so we can get them moving along.
I could just say I personally have learned more about 2 agencies than I've been in the council for the last, so this has been very, very well so far done, having them come before us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank Dawn because you'll have this packet for the budget, and it answers all of those questions. She made a uniform application. It includes their 501c status, that they're in good standing. It asks every question about what they've done in the community, what they intend. It's very comprehensive, and it talks in detail about all of these things you've asked, so that when it comes up time for budget, you'll remember these, ladies and gentlemen, but you'll have those that information in front of you. So it's very, very good. We're fair to everybody. We did it in advance, and all of their financial information, too, so you can look at their organization. And I think it's wonderful that both of the last 2 groups, they didn't lead with talking about the money they were asking for. They talked about how they wanted to help people in Enfield, and that just shows where their hearts are.
Councilor Ungar?
Quickly, I wanted to thank you for what you do and all the churches coming together to help. That's a big job. Just one quick question. I know it says warming center. When do you start in the fall, and do you end in the spring, or is there any provision for the summer for shelter or anything?
We do not have provision in the summer. That's something we'll visit down the road. We usually start in the middle of January. One of our things that we're working on right now is to start the first of the year, which gives them a solid 3 months, and just researching other warming centers and shelters here in Connecticut and around the region. They usually do start, some of them start in the fall, majority of them start in December, January, and go till April 1st. This year we'll be ending, our last day will be the 30th.
Any other questions? Thank you both. We appreciate it.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening. I'm Chuck Horner, Business Manager for Educational Resources for Children.
I'm Dave Meisels. I'm the Director of Operations for Educational Resources for Children.
I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the ERFC. We've been in town since 1994. We operate the before and after school centers in all of the elementary schools and the middle schools. So we're dealing with kindergarten through 8th grade. What we're here tonight for is for our summer camp. We offer a day camp, 7 weeks, starting July 1st and going until August 16th. We're unique, I think, in town, and we offer subsidies to parents and families who cannot afford a summer camp. We get about 125 kids a week for 7 weeks. About 55 to 60% of those kids are subsidized in our program. We provide a full day of activities, including we serve breakfast and lunch, and we provide also an extended day for parents who need to work. We are open from 7 in the morning until 6 at night, Monday through Friday. The camp itself with the activities is 8 to 3 for those who just want to partake in that. Dave, why don't you talk about our program bit?
We work directly with Enfield Public Schools to help identify kids for enrollment. We will take referrals from teachers, from counselors, from principals. And one of our major goals is to help prevent summer learning loss. We have a certified science teacher providing science activities. We run a digital media program featuring podcasts, stop motion animation, and for older kids, some exposure to coding. We will run literacy programs. And in addition to the educational piece, we mix in recreation. As it is a summer camp, we'll have sports, arts and crafts programming, performing arts. We'll take beach trips. We'll go to the skating rink. We'll have special guests come in with both recreation and education in mind, from Children's Museum, Discovery Center, the Science Center. For older kids, camp is for kids entering first grade through 8th grade. For the high school students, we run a counselor in training and leadership program, hoping to help them get exposed to working with younger children in a structured educational and recreational setting.
I just want to say that this funding is strictly for subsidizing the children that need it, and this amount we're asking for level funding of $15,000, which will subsidize up to 152 children, or depending on how many weeks they come with us, that number can vary a bit.
The goal being that all Enfield families should be able to participate. Our goal is that all families that need the subsidies can receive the subsidies and be included in the summer program.
Any questions? Thank you. Any questions? No?
Thank you,
guys got the
gentlemen.
look?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And our last is also a new request.
Good evening.
Welcome.
My name is, kind of short here, Sherry Paquette. I'm the Director of Student Activities at Nantucket Community College. And I'm here tonight to talk about our food pantry. So about 1.5 years ago, a student and I co-founded the pantry on our campus. Food insecurity among our Enfield Community College students is a real and true hardship. And those of us that are involved in the pantry, we became members of the Enfield Hunger Action Team, and we now host the meetings at our school. And some of the things that we've learned through that endeavor have shown us where this is all coming from. So the latest ALICE report shows that 36% of Enfield residents earn less than the basic cost of living for the area. So when our Enfield students graduate high school, if they decide to go to a community college as opposed to a 4-year university, they don't have a meal plan wrapped up in a pretty financial aid package with a big red bow, right? So when my oldest son went off to Stonehill, I never had to worry if he had breakfast, lunch, dinner. It was all wrapped up in the, the scholarships and the financial aid. This is not the case for community college students. So often, our students are dealing with food insecurity on top of other things that university students don't have to deal with. Our students are dealing with transportation, housing, daycare, employment, lack of health insurance, and lack of access to wraparound health and social services. Enfield students from low-income families who had free or reduced meals all through their public school are at the highest risk for food insecurity when they come to our college. And I've heard this story time and again. So, I used to have free or reduced breakfast, or I had like through the ERFC, I had these meal programs, free lunch programs, and now they're trying to go to the next step that they can afford, which is community college, and there's nothing for them. So there's a real shift there in security levels. So the Assunta College Food Pantry addresses the devastating problem of food insecurity and helps to alleviate hunger among our most vulnerable students. And this greatly increases the chances of them graduating, right? If they're fed, if they have at least that one layer of insecurity met, this helps them to stay in school and graduate. And earning an associate's degree promotes self-sufficiency and family stability as we move on. So we are at the forefront of this devastating trend of food insecurity, especially on community college campuses. There are problems on university campuses as well, of course. So about 1.5 years ago, this student and I decided to start the pantry. Well, I'll be honest with you, if I ever knew what it would grow to, we would never started, because I would have been so overwhelmed. So what we're doing right now, we are feeding over 300 different students a week. 300 students. So over the last year and a half, we have had students and graduates, faculty, staff, everybody's helping out to make this happen, right? And we knew that this model wasn't really sustainable because our biggest problem is food rescue. So be it a farmer saying, can you get somebody here we're cleaning our fields to pick up some food, or if Enfield Food Shelf says, Sherry, we've got some excess, whatever. And we're also, we collaborate with Enfield Food Shelf. We also became a member of Food Share of Connecticut because we can get food 17 cents on the pound. So as we move forward with this, and also another initiative of building a wellness and health hub to link social and health wraparound services to our students. As we move forward, we need to have a better model, a more sustainable model of having somebody whose job, maybe a graduate or a current student, a part-time job, to actually be in charge of food rescue. So I'm going to wrap up. I want to show you a few pictures about students helping students, a couple of quick stories, and then I'll take some questions. I want to thank all of you here for this opportunity and for everything you all do for the citizens of Enfield. And please know that the students at our college are very grateful. I know Josie's, he's there all the time. They're so grateful. I know now, you see in the media where, whatever generation you want to call it, what's the letter now, I don't know, for traditional age college students, that they're all about themselves and their fancy smartphones and this and that. I don't know what to say to that. I can only say that the students at my college, that is not their experience. They're working, they're going to school, they're trying to better themselves, and they're struggling. So they're very grateful. I can't tell you how many times I've had students come to my office with tears in their eyes saying, thank you. So these pictures, I'm just going to give you a quick glimpse of a few things about the pantry. And the first one is one of the reasons that we no longer have a sustainable model for picking up food. This is like a 30-second story, and I know Liz will understand this. We had a gentleman who put his wife and his son through a SNUNTUC and that on his GI Bill, and then he came back to school when he was a retired veteran. And his name is Ruben Garcia. He was a resident of our town here in Enfield. And what he did in his retirement was, after he graduated from our school, he would bring his big blue pickup truck, and he would go out and help the students do food rescue whenever we needed to. In this instance, we got turkeys at Thanksgiving from Kathleen over at Enfield Food Shelf, and he helped us with that. Mind you, we knew this model couldn't sustain, right? Unfortunately, Ruben passed away over the holidays. So that's one of the reasons that moving forward, we really do need to have a part-time worker that's solely in charge of food rescue and that apparatus of the pantry. I volunteer 15 to 25 hours extra a week to do the rest of it, and a lot of other people help out too, and we have 20 to 30 students helping all the time. We've had the United Way come through with toiletry kits to help us out. We reached out to them. We, as I said, are a member of Food Share. The pantry itself used to be an IT closet full of wires, and we revamped that with shelves and all of our donations to make it very organized. And lastly, this is just one example of students helping students. This is Jared. And we do have, as I said, about around 20 to 30 students at all times helping out in the pantry. We are currently open. We just expanded our hours from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and on Fridays 9 a.m. to 1:30. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Joe, anything? Curious, can you get credit offer credit to the students who volunteer? Just curious.
That's an excellent question. So one of the ways that we get the most students to volunteer is through community service hours. Our Self and Others courses require 20 hours a week, 20 hours per semester, and a lot of our human services courses require internships or volunteer hours. So what I do is I connect at the beginning of each semester with all of those professors, and I remind them a few weeks in, and that's how I build an apparatus of students usually volunteering 2 hours a week throughout the semester. And then we have other students that volunteer just because they want to, believe it or not. And like I said, people don't think of that with the traditional age college students, but they really do. We have a very large base.
Deputy Mayor Suzak, sorry.
Okay, first of all, I missed what is the amount that you've requested?
$15,000.
Okay. And my second question is this. I guess these are students, are they in the age range where they're still living at home? And this is actually, there probably is a need not only for the student, but for the whole family.
Oh,
is there any way that that's being tied to the social services and things that we have?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. So one of the things I'll address is that for our larger families that are coming to the pantry, well, say a student with a larger family coming to the pantry, I've connected with Kathleen Souvenier, the director of Enfield Food Shelf, and now what we're doing is we are transitioning those families to her. They can be better served there, right? Many of our students with transportation issues and qualifying issues can't use Enfield Food Shelf. And the way I explain this is, even if a student's living at home, say at 23 years old, okay, that doesn't mean that their parents' money goes into their pocket. And a lot of these students come from very low-income families. So everybody in the family is struggling to get that student through community college. But yes, we have connected there. I'm very close with Damien at Town Services, and we're trying to connect more and more wraparound services to, like, start with the pantry. Now I'm going to build the health wellness hub so that we can connect the town wraparound social and health services to our school. And that doesn't mean that CHR comes in and does counseling on our campus. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that somebody from CHR or low-income housing comes on campus, or SNAP, say the first Tuesday of every month in room 216, and it's on a continual basis, and the students know they can go there, make the connection, find out how to get those services. And I think that's going to help everybody, those connections.
Absolutely, the connectivity and the need to get everything. Thank you.
Councilor Kiner.
Are there any specific guidelines you use to determine what students are eligible for the use of the pantry?
That's a great question. And there's only one guideline. The only thing we ask is for them to show their, much like I have my badge on, they have a student ID. I verify that they are a student of the college. And that's the only qualifier. And the reason that we do not ask for financials is, again, because just because Joe Smith is living at home with mom and dad doesn't mean that Joe Smith has mom and dad's money in their pocket. And most of these students the majority of our students are from Enfield, and the majority of the students that I'm serving through the pantry, I know every single one of them personally, and they're from low-income situations. So this is the reason that some of these students couldn't walk into Enfield Food Shelf and partake in those services, because maybe with mom and dad's income and their little, small part-time job, maybe it would hit over the qualifier. So we don't do that. We assume that if you're a student and you're going to our school, we want to help you. And we've really pushed hard over the last year and a half to eradicate all stigma regarding the Asnuntuck Pantry. And we're all in this together, and the number one thing we have to keep in mind is we want all these students to graduate, and keeping them fed is one way to help them to graduate. But no, we don't ask for financials.
Last question, you've indicated that 300 students per week use the pantry. Where does the money come from to help feed these students?
Okay, great question. Well, currently, our Student Government Association has committed to $3,000 a semester. Now, this is when students sign up for college, they pay a student activity fee. I think it's $10 part-time, $20 full-time. And so that goes into a big kitty, and I am in charge of how, all the different awareness events and things we're going to do on campus, co-curricular activities for our students. The Student Government Association has dedicated $3,000 every semester to a line item through the foundation for the pantry to start off that sustainability. And then through, we work through grants. We have partners, like I said, like Kathleen. We get pickups from her every Tuesday and Thursday. And the Enfield, the food shelf of food share of Connecticut, we get food 17 cents on the pound. ShopRite in town has been a huge support system for us. They donate thousands of dollars to our pantry. Donations from faculty, staff, even students that can, donate, they do. Just bag after bag of groceries coming in. And we're starting now to create some annual fundraisers that'll help too.
Any other questions? Thank you
very much.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
the time.
Mr. Mayor, in conclusion, that's our last applicant. I will just bring to your attention that others that are reapplying for the grants include Kite Collaborative, the Network Against Domestic Abuse, Enfield Loaves and Fishes, Enfield Food Shelf, Community Health Resources, North Central Regional Mental Health Board, and the Community Health Center. All of their applications are here, their requests, what they've done in the past, what they'd like to do in the future. For time's sake, we limited it to 4 this evening. If you thought that was beneficial and would like any of these others to come, I know you're more familiar with them, but you can please talk amongst yourselves and let me know. We can always do another session and invite any of those applicants if you would prefer. And I will just let you know, as always with budgets, there's tough choices to be made. Last year, the council allocated amongst these groups, except for the new ones, $116,000 approximately. This year, with the new requests and last year's renewals, the requests are for $157,000. So as you can see, you're going to, as always, be asked to make choices as to where you want these allocations to go. But again, if there's interest, I agree with you, Mayor. I think that was very informative. And if you would like any of these other groups to come, please let me know and we'll invite them.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, definitely.
Chris, can we get some of their literature up on our webpage? Because this is great advertisement, and there might be people out in the audience that, are looking for in-town charitable organizations that they like to give to.
We'll do our best, and as always with this presentation, I think there was a lot of useful information, and we will list it and put it on the town manager's website so people who want to share this with others can let them know, and they can watch this one as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone need a quick break, or are we ready to roll? Anyone got to, no? Okay. That concludes the special meeting. We are now moving into the regular meeting on Monday, March 4th. Prayer for Councilor Speraza.
Lord, as we gather tonight at this meeting, we ask for your presence. Help us to make decisions that are fair, reasonable, equitable for all concerned. God, let this meeting be productive. Help us to keep you at the forefront of our minds. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're already on vacation. Roll call, please.
Councilor Speraza. Deputy Mayor Suzak.
Here.
Councilor Ungary.
Here.
Councilor Bosco.
Here.
Councilor Sakala.
Here.
Councilor Crissati.
Here.
Councilor Davis.
Here.
Councilor Denny.
Here.
Councilor Keiner. Mayor Ludwig.
Here.
Councilor Muller.
Here.
There's 11 members present, none are absent.
Item number 4, the fire evacuation. In case of a fire, we do have exit doors in the back of the building. Please exit orderly from the left and to the right. We also have exit doors out to our left, your right, through the first door, down the stairs, and out the door into the parking lot. Item number 5, meeting minutes of the preceding minutes. Do I have, excuse me, minutes of the preceding meetings? Special meeting February 19, 2018. Do I have a motion to approve? By Councilor Muller, seconded by Deputy Mayor Suzak. Any omissions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none by show of hands, all those in favor? Opposed, abstentions? 10 and 9 in favor, 1 abstention. Regular meeting, February 19, 2018. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
By Councilor
Second.
Denny, seconded by Councilor Crissati. Any additions, deletions, corrections on the minutes? Hearing none by show of hands, all those in favor? Opposed, abstentions? 9 in favor, 1 abstention. Item number 6, special guest. Please, Mr. Brian Mazzone, Coach of the Year, please come up front. Folks want to come around? Sorry, I'll introduce you. We have a proclamation on behalf of the town of Enfield, the Enfield Town Council, for Mr. Brian Mazzone, our Coach of the Year. I'll make sure this thing's on. Proclamation honoring Brian Mazzone, Coach of the Year 2018, as designated by the Connecticut High School Coaches Association. Whereas Brian Mazzone, a year of 2000 graduate of Enfield High School, has been an English teacher here for the last 14 years off the field, a coach of the Stafford Summers East Windsor Bulldogs on the field for the past 16 years. And whereas the Bulldogs play in the Pequot Conference, which is a 16-team league made up of schools from the North Central Connecticut Conference and the Shoreline Conference, and whereas Brian has served the assistant coach in the Connecticut versus Rhode Island All-Star Game for inside linebackers and special teams, is a current Pequot Conference co-president, and whereas the 2015 Pequot East Division Coach of the Year, Brian guided his team to ending a 22-game losing streak in Week 1, and whereas in 2016 was the first winning season since 1996 for Stafford, with the most wins in school history, and whereas in 2017, the team earned their first Class S semifinals playoff win while breaking the previous year's record of the most wins in school history, and whereas in 2018, Brian coached the team to a 10-0 regular season record, the Pequot Conference Championship, while earning honors of the Walter Camp Football Foundation Finalist Coach of the Year, Pequot Coach of the Year, and producing the most wins in school record history, breaking the school record once again. Now, therefore, I, Michael Ludwig, Mayor of the Town of Enfield, on behalf of the Enfield Town Council, the town administration, and the town community, do hereby congratulate Brian Mazzone on his distinction as the Coach of the Year in 2018, as designated by the Connecticut High School Coaches Association and the outstanding accomplishments garnered through his hard work and dedication.
No, I just like to say thank you to everyone on the council for recognizing this. I know that Coach Crisati played a big role. I appreciate that, and obviously I know Bill for years, being a part of his family. My sister-in-law is his daughter, so for them to recognize this is really fantastic. I've coached for many years in town and out of town, and it's an honor that I'm extremely proud of. Something that wasn't easy. It was a big challenge, but I want to thank you guys for taking the time to recognize me. I know you didn't need to do this. I know it was something you guys chose to do, and thank you for having us here. I'd also like to thank my family who's in the back, my wife Kelly, my stepmother Joan, my father Gary, and my sons Brody and Brock. They're having the time of their lives back there. So thank you once again. I will say, I am a teacher in the town, and I'm a very proud Enfield resident. I grew up here. I live in town, over on, grew up off Weymouth Road and live off Elm Street. So I'm an Enfield guy, and I'm very proud of everything we do in this town. So thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Special guest Cheryl Rosenbaum.
Yes, perhaps Dawn, our Director of Social Services, we'll need some more chairs, Damon, if you could help, perhaps.
We'll let them go.
All right. Dawn's going to introduce them. But what we had thought, given the topic on the last agenda about grant money for the adult daycare center and the fact that there are questions in the community about the program, Dawn has been talking, and it was actually started last year. The council asked her to reach out to other adult daycare centers to find out what they offered, what a transition would be if the council decided to go in that direction. So she has been speaking over a course of time, and most recently to the Windsor Center and the Felician Sisters. They were kind enough to bring their personnel here so that they can make a little presentation and answer any questions the council might have and be a resource for our community, those in the audience who have come to hear about it and those at home, to see what's available. And you'll hear it right from the horse's mouth and not through my translation. So we thank them for coming.
So I do want to extend a big thank you to the folks who are going to be coming up here. They did help us. They mentored us. They coached us. The things we didn't know about Adult Day Center accreditation, they shared everything from their rec calendars to their staffing patterns. Everything we asked for, they were more than willing to share. So I think that I owe a debt of gratitude. I also wanted to introduce Joanne McEwen, who is our Adult Day Center manager. She's here today as well. And just to give you a little bit of background, since our last PAR report, I just wanted to let you know that we have had two discharges. So we're down to 11 rostered clients right now. 8 are residents and 3 are non-residents. One's from Suffield, one from Summers, and one's from Windsor Locks. So just in terms of kind of where we are, Joanne and our social worker, Jess Russell, who couldn't be with us today, has reached out to each one of the families, has been having conversations about what options might be available to them. These, we think, are the 2 primary options, so we've asked them to come forward and give you overviews of the programs that they operate. I can tell you that the accreditation standards are the same, the basic rates in terms of services are the same. The transportation mix may be a little bit different for the Windsor, but there's a component requirements that we all have to go through when we're operating a model that's for medical services as well as socialization services for any adult day center. So these folks meet the fine requirements that we do as well. So that with the context, I'd like to turn it over to Cheryl. Oh, and Judy. Judy's the nurse. They're going to walk you through what they do in the Windsor facility. As you know, we have been out to visit, and we do think that as in terms of a facility, it's just state of art. It is a wonderful facility. They sunk a great deal of money into it recently, and so Cheryl's going to show you some pictures as well. Okay.
I'll just remind the council we're very thankful they're here. We should be gracious to them. They're special guests. And it's not a 6 to 7 meeting where we'll do a more formal question and answer period. We can do that again later during the budget if the council needs it, when you're really concentrating on the daycare center and its future. But these ladies have come this evening just to answer for you what they offer in the event you'd like to make that transition, and let our residents hear about it too. I think it will allay some concerns and give some comfort to those who are considering future use or are in the program now or may want to consider it in the future. So with that, ladies.
So I was going to do that at the end, but I don't want to make you stay, so you can do it. Why don't you do it first? It's fine. Yeah, go ahead. We'll roll the video first.
Welcome.
It's very brief.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for your invitation to be a guest at your meeting this evening. My name is Cheryl Rosenbaum, and I'm the coordinator at the Caring Connection Windsor's Adult Day Healthcare Center, currently located at 330 Windsor Avenue in the Community Center building in the Wilson section of town. I'd like to introduce you to Judy Hannon, our nursing coordinator, 13-year employee of the Caring Connection. The Caring Connection is a medical model adult daycare, opened over 32 years ago, and at that time was located in LP Wilson or Manny. The Caring Connection, an entity of the town of Windsor, is an enterprise fund which is not intended to receive any tax dollars from the town of Windsor. To exist, clients pay a daily charge through any combination of private insurance, Medicaid, veterans benefits, private funds, and/or grants. In addition, we are expected to raise our own funds and apply to receive additional grants whenever possible. The Caring Connection's motto is, "We do not change where you live, only how you live." We serve mostly the frail elderly of our town, as well as many of the surrounding towns to which transportation is available in our catchment area. At this time, those towns include Windsor, Windsor Locks, Hartford, Bloomfield, and East Windsor. Our hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. We offer half-day, full-day, and respite care from 1 to 5 days a week. We are also currently serving clients who attend from Bristol, South Windsor, East Granby, Vernon, and Granby, and their families are transporting them to our program. We currently have a dedicated staff of 13 individuals representing full, part-time, and per diem positions. Our diverse client population attend our program to help maintain their independence, connect with peers, socialize, exercise, and avail themselves of excellent nursing care, give much needed respite time to their programs to their caregivers through attending our program. Attendance also helps prevent or reduce rehospitalization for our clients. Our nurses on site set up medications, monitor chronic health conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and congestive heart failure. Blood sugars can also be monitored daily. We also have a nurse present in the case of we always have a nurse present in case of any health emergency. Daily good nutritional snacks and lunches are provided. The Caring Connection can also address individual therapeutic dietary needs. We just enrolled a client who is strictly vegetarian, and we are able to accommodate her. Daily, our clients engage in a meaningful therapeutic recreation program, which includes opportunities for developing new friendships, socialization, exercise, cognitive challenges, gardening, music, creativity, and spiritual activities, just to name a few, all planned by our energetic CTRS Meg. What does all that mean? A day at the Caring Connection is fun, purposeful, an opportunity for clients to be actively engaged with peers in a program adapted for each individual, whatever their needs and preferences. Recently, when I knew I was coming here, before the clients boarded the bus to go home, I asked them to help me with my talk. Could they tell me a word or two about the Caring Connection and what it means to them? Here are some of their responses. Happiness, love, fun, caring connections, good nurses, out trips, exercise, learning, loving people, beautiful plants and planting, meeting new people, games, the kids from Loomis Chafee, our therapy dog Jack, who you met in the video, and caring. The Caring Connection has a website for your perusal. Please note the address at the bottom of the brochure you will receive this evening. It is windsorcaringconnection.com, all lowercase. You can also friend us on Facebook if you like. As the coordinator, I am most fortunate to have a staff of individuals whom hold the elderly in highest regard and who have years and years of experience working at all care levels, from nursing home to assisted living and adult daycare to private care. Judy, would you like to add anything?
I would like to also add that, not to toot my horn, but I also worked for a few years at Allied Rehab here in Pearson Way. And they have a vocational program, a day center, you might say, that meets the needs of the intellectually disabled members of the community. You've probably seen them out and about. And I supervised a few of the group homes in the area, and I saw how important it was for them to get out of the home into a structured environment, see how they flourished, whether it was from arts and crafts to bingo to actually working piecemeal on things, but to be out with their peers. And we do serve generally the elderly population, but we have anywhere from age 64 to 99 currently in our program. But how important, vital that is to be out, not only for their medical needs, but social. And I would also like to add that Cheryl and I both had Cheryl had her father, and I had my mother and father in the program. And it gave us, as in the workforce, it gave us a caregiver break. Again, how important it was for them to get out, but how important it is for working families and caregivers to have a respite, or to be able to know that their loved ones are in a safe, secure environment during the day.
So because of our extended day program, which starts at 7 in the morning and ends at 4:30 in the afternoon, if you are a working caregiver and need to drop off your family member, we're there. And fortunately or unfortunately for our parents, they came with us, so they were extended day. But we have other clients who spend extended day time at our program for that reason, because their families need that kind of break. So I did bring a few things with. I brought everyone brochures, and I brought you newsletters. We put out a monthly newsletter every month that goes to our families, to our clients, and it gives our clients a glimpse at the last month, and a glimpse through pictures, and a glimpse of the month to come with both the calendar and the menu, and just some general reminders on the back page and the front cover if we're having anything special. We're going to be closed any days for any reason. We don't close very often during the year.
We were there today.
We didn't have any clients, but we were there.
We do try to be there every
Right. And even some of the holidays like President's Day, Martin Luther King, and Veterans Day, when the town of Windsor is closed, the Caring Connection is open for our clients. And we would like to answer any questions that you might have at this time. And we are willing to come back if you have more questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilor Ferrazza.
Good evening. Thank you
Good
for
evening.
coming.
You're welcome.
I just have a couple of questions. And I guess the first question is, if I heard you right, the town of Windsor does not provide you any funds, no subsidies at all.
No. They're not supposed to.
And has that been the case in previous years, or is this a new?
It's pretty much been the way that it is. We are an enterprise fund. We have a few times had a small transfer in from the general fund.
But typically, you're
Not
self-sufficient. The
supposed to.
town doesn't subsidize it at all. Okay. Number two, I don't know if I heard how many clients you can accommodate there.
Well, we're licensed to accommodate 60. I don't know if there were ever
The
60
most
there.
I've ever seen were, I think, 52 on a given day. And it was
Currently, we have 36.
36. So you have plenty of room right now.
Yes.
Okay.
But all 36 don't come every day.
Okay. And in terms of fees, I don't need specifics. Compared to what our residents would pay here, are your rates comparable to that?
I'll share our fees. It's public knowledge.
Okay.
It's $81.60 a day private pay.
Okay.
It's $50 a day, half.
Okay. And I guess my last question would be, the clients you do have, you said they're from all over, right? Other towns?
Other towns, as well as the ones that we don't offer transportation to.
Okay. Is there any type of accreditation for adult daycares?
Yes.
Are you accredited?
We are.
You are? Okay.
We had a deficiency-free evaluation. There were no
Every
findings
3
in
years.
every 3 years at our recent review.
Great. That's really great. Thank you very much.
Councilor Kiner, then Councilor Ungary.
Years ago, I served on the statewide Commission on Aging. Some of you might remember Herb Foy was on that commission with me, and Kay Talarita. And one of the focal points of that commission was that they saw a need for respite care for caregivers. And a lot of money, if I remember correctly, a lot of grants were given to towns just for this reason. I find it difficult to believe that the town of Enfield only has 10 or 11 people using the facility. I'm just wondering if you guys use some kind of outreach that perhaps we need to do in this town. You know, from my experience, there was a statewide need for these adult daycare centers, and it's hard to believe that Enfield is surviving with just a very few people using it. I don't understand why, and perhaps I can be educated on that. But I guess the main question is, do you guys use outreach that perhaps we should be using in this community?
I don't believe that we do any different outreach than we do. We're in touch with CCCI caseworkers. We do outreach to the local long-term care and rehab facilities, to senior centers in the area. However, I would like to say that from my experience of attending association meetings, a lot of centers are experiencing a drop in attendance. There is a pretty large push for in-home care. You hear it on the news all the time. Keep mom at home. What it should say is, keep mom at home, but have her go out during the day to meet her socialization needs and be with her peers. But the media is being blitzed by keep mom at home, and that's all caregivers are really hearing. It is a struggle for every adult daycare center in the state to get our message across, because most of us can't spend the kind of money to get that message out into the community that those, home care companions, all those places, they're big corporations. Most daycares are a couple of them are groups of 2 or 3, but most of us are single. And we're doing our best, and we're fighting a very difficult battle. So what I'm doing is probably very similar to what you're doing. I mean, you can when you Google adult day healthcare and a town, it comes up. As I'm sure if somebody Googles adult day healthcare in Enfield, this is what, your facility comes up.
Well, you are obviously very successful in what you're doing in Windsor. What do you owe your success to that maybe we can learn or other communities can learn from you?
Well, I just try to be out in the community a lot and be in touch with the people that I said, our senior centers, our rehab facilities. I go to meetings for senior care east of the river, west of the river, twice a month.
I also can add, we have a strong tie with our case manager. Cheryl mentioned
Right.
CCCI, Connecticut Community Care Incorporated, which is, you know, for elder care in the community and home-based. We get our referrals from the case managers, the social workers that have clients out there. And we really try to strengthen those bonds,
Right.
incorporate the family and all. So, like, we just got one
Right.
today, you know, one of the case managers that, you know, heard about us and have a good fit client. that
So
wants
I've
to
been
come.
invited a few times. You don't get invited every time. They have several times a year, maybe. There are 3 offices in the state for CCCI, and every once in a while they will invite an adult day care. And I happened to be on the phone with one of them a couple months ago, and I was really saying, we haven't gotten, our CCCI referrals are down. What can we do? And she mentioned that there was an open forum day, and could I come? I was only one of 7 different individuals there, no other. They only generally invite 1 day care at a time. But if you get in touch with their offices and let them know, I'm sure if you let them know you want to come, I'm sure they
Well,
might.
let me just conclude by saying, in effect, I'm gathering what you're saying. You do outreach.
Oh, I
There's no
do.
doubt about that.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Ungary.
Hi, thank you for coming. I was just going to ask if someone would be available to give me a tour if I come
Anytime
by.
you want.
Because I'd like to
Anytime
see your
you want.
facility and meet your staff and see.
So if you can call before you come, just to make sure I'm there, or we're usually there every day, but I could be out doing
7 a.m.
outreach.
tomorrow? Come on.
Sure, I'll call.
Just give us a call. The information will be on the brochures with our phone number. Anytime any of you would like to stop down, please feel free. If you want to ask a question that you forgot, you can email me or you can call.
And I would just ask as well, as partial statement, am I correct that in the recent past you also did a significant several $100,000 upgrade to your facility?
Well, so we moved from one facility to the other. It wasn't in it was about 13, no, more than 13.
Yeah,
about
13 years right before I started, about 14
years ago. So they moved from a smaller
it was actually based, like yours was in the senior center, is that's what I'm understanding. We're
Right.
a freestand, we're not in the senior center.
We are now in a different community building, and the space is amazing. It feels like you're home. Our participants don't feel like they've come to a place. It's carpeted. It's just beautiful. It has recliners. It has a lovely cafe. We have an outdoor raised garden. We have a front patio. We have an area for arts and crafts. We have a living room area. It's just a really wonderful place to be and spend your time.
Councilor Crisati.
I do remember when you were on Mediatic Avenue.
I wasn't there.
I have an aunt
I was in a
that I
nursing
used
home.
to bring
Me too.
to the facility, and so I know that you've moved to 330 Windsor Avenue, and the facility is a lot bigger. I did hear on your video for out-of-towners, families are responsible for transportation.
Yes.
All right, so
I knowing I was coming here, I did make some phone calls to our town transportation person and spoke with our town manager. And in order for us to have a bus come to Enfield, there needs to be a critical mass. We need 6 clients that come to make it cost effective. At least 6. I'll say 6 to 8 to make it cost effective for us to run a bus here, because it's far than the current areas we go to. It's not-
And my
didn't
other
take me long.
question that I have, which is in regard to the transportation, do you have certified nurses that do come on the bus to get your clients?
So,
And do you go door to door?
okay, so our transportation is door to door. So from our door, our CNAs and nurses and our bus driver help to get our clients onto the bus, strapped in, ready to go. When our clients get home, it's our bus driver and their family members that take the clients out.
Okay, so
or
you-
an
so
aide
you-
if they have their. Or
So you have a CNA,
we do not have anyone on the bus other than the bus driver. No.
just the bus driver
Mhm.
and the family. Now, does the bus driver get off and help? Or is
Yes.
Door to door.
the bus driver
Yes.
would get off and
Yes,
help?
but they are not allowed to use garage door openers, open anybody's door. So there has
Correct.
to be, either the client has to be able to open their own front door, or there has to be someone there to meet them.
Okay, and there's another important issue here, is that your extended day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of your extended day that you have from 7 a.m. to 4:30, I think, is that another reason why your numbers are up a little? Because your hours are longer, which helps the families,
Well, it
which
attracts.
helps with respite care?
Right. It attracts a certain type of family, and it doesn't add to the cost. We don't
And it
charge
doesn't
anymore.
add to the
Does
cost.
not add to the cost. So if someone needs our program, we have people in our catchment area who don't use our transportation because they're dropping off at 7:30 and picking up at 4:15.
And I think that's a great point, because I think that extended hours there is increasing your attendance. All right, I have a child with a disability, and his program only goes from like 8 to 3 o'clock, which limits, what a family can do. So these hours are a heck of a lot better than 9 to 3. Okay, so when I look at your extended day that you have, and I'm comparing to what we have here in this town, that makes a big, huge difference for families.
Yes, but our clients get picked up anywhere between 8:15 to 10 of 9, maybe. They arrive between 9 and 9:15 from the bus, when they're on the buses.
Right.
Our buses are all gone by 3, and they get home anywhere from 3:15 to 4 o'clock on the bus. So that may be similar to the day that you are offering here. It's the extended day that's a little different.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
So how many adult daycare centers are there in the town of Windsor or in the surrounding?
So there's one in Windsor.
Okay.
There is one in Bloomfield. There's Hartford. There's 2 in West Hartford. There's one in East Hartford, one in Holland.
And there's also a few social models out there, and one is at McLean Home there. They have a social model. We recently had a couple of clients come because there was no nurse on staff, which is important, especially as maybe they're aging in place or more medical needs.
There are 2 in East Hartford. Sorry, one just a small.
Yes.
Yeah, it's small, but they're just building. They just second program just opened.
Councilor Speraza.
Would you say that the majority of your clients use the extended hours? All of them use the extended hours?
No,
Would
very-
you say like half of them?
No.
Less than half? How
Small
many?
amount.
What, like what? Like,
Depends on the day, and it's cyclical. Like our attendance is right now. I mean, we have 3, 4.
Yeah, maybe
About 3 to 4.
okay, so the majority of people aren't using the extended
Right,
hours?
right. They
Okay.
do come.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Bosco.
Okay, well, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Probably one of the problems we have here is you do such a good job. I mean, how are we going to grab residents from other towns when you're doing such a good job? I mean, there's only a limited amount of people that we can really go after. This is a tough one for me because I'm the one that saved this program 6 years ago. I was vote number 6. And at that time, just for history for people out there, Pam was running it, and Pam was a very caring, very hardworking director, and she couldn't keep our numbers up. So this has been something tough, and I'm really excited when you say you guys do it with no town funds, because that was what we were supposed to do. We were supposed to have the same thing that you have, where there weren't going to be any funds, and that was pretty much, it was supposed to be self-sufficient. That's why we saved it. And only because, things came up and people brought things to notice that we picked up on it and realized that, we just don't have the enrollment. And they tried putting names on buses. They tried putting things in papers. We can't steal your people. You do such a good job.
No,
The thing is, if,
we believe there probably are people out there for every town, but Adult Day seems to be, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but seems to be a secret, a well-kept secret, and I don't know why. And if we could all solve that problem together.
well, the visiting nurses, I mean, that's really what started it when,
That's right.
Back, this is not a new problem we've had in the town of Enfield, and it's been multiple directors that had the same problem. So, usually when multiple people have the same problem, it's not the people, it's the problem. It's just something that's inherent. But you did say if we can get like 6 people, then you guys will bus them?
6 to 8, we will try
Well,
and
if,
bus them.
if everybody stays up as it is now and just goes to your place, we have the people. So it's really no different than we're doing right now. It's just that, they have an extra, 10 minutes on the bus, 15 minutes on the bus?
Yeah, I don't know where it, we have to take a look at the route. It's
Right, well,
try to make this work.
Well, right, but we still have the time on the
Right.
bus picking people up.
Correct.
So, the regulations or your rules on picking people up are the same as ours. The day seems good. I mean, I like your dog. It seems like, you guys have a pretty good program, and it makes me feel better that we're going to entrust our residents to people like you.
Thank you.
And for the residents of our town, other than a different location, and I know it's tough for elderly people sometimes to get used to other things, but if we can at least keep up the minimum that you need for busing, it should go pretty seamlessly that you take over and the people go, and it really shouldn't affect the way business is done, except they're in a different building.
Well,
So
we would
it-
love to have your clients.
It makes me happy
Literally
that,
2 minutes off 91
right,
South.
that's what I'm saying, you're not
Right off
that
91 South.
long, you
Oh,
know?
Windsor, it seems, but.
Depending on where you live in Enfield, it's,
91 or right there, so.
well, thank you for coming. And thank you for clearing up a lot of misconceptions, because they're, I've got emails that you guys weren't going to be certified, that you don't have alarms on your doors, you don't have the proper care for someone with, the problems that the elderly have, but it seems like it's just the opposite. You guys have it pegged down, and if you have that many people, you must be doing something right. So it makes me more comfortable saying, hey, you know what? Windsor's going to take care of you. Thank you.
Councilor Sferrazza. Then you got one.
Just real quickly,
Excuse me, are you passing the brochures out?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
I'm
One more
sorry,
question.
just one more thing. When I was researching this today, I was looking, and correct me if I'm wrong, Medicare does not cover adult daycare, but Medicaid does.
Yes.
So Enfield residents who are taking or have the Medicaid benefits, that money would follow them, obviously, to your
Right.
program seamlessly.
If they have probably have a referral from CCCI, the case managers would just
Right. Okay.
change the referral.
Okay,
to look-
thank you.
Yes, that would follow.
Thank you very much for coming.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Where would you like us to leave?
You can leave them up here, and
Okay.
that way the public
Thank
can
you.
get some and some for the council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. And again, anybody that's interested, they've said, please call them and get a tour. If you have a loved one that's interested or the council would like to go as well. And we would invite up now our
Miss
representative.
Julie James?
Yes, Julie James from Felician Sisters. I don't think so.
We've got a video too. Yes,
I spoke too soon.
there you go. Okay. Is it easier just to start with the video?
No, it doesn't matter. You can do what you want to do. Then when you're ready to go, all you have to do is
Press the button.
that little button right there. All you have to do is hit that, and you'll be all set to go.
Okay, good job.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here. I'm Julie James. I'm the president of the Felician Ministries that are on the campus at 133.
Could you pull up the microphone?
Oh.
So that everybody can hear you?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just get closer here. At 133, 135 Enfield Street. And Karen Enderly is the nurse at the Felician Adult Day Center. The Felician Adult Day Center has been there for 29 years. It was started by two Felician sisters and started really just as a ministry for those sisters to serve the elders in the community who needed out-of-home care. And it grew, and it became a licensed facility. We're a medical model licensed facility. We provide services to 30 clients. And as you heard, that number fluctuates up and down, has for years. We do all the same things. Our rate is different. We charge $75 a day. We have transportation that's free to the, not necessarily free. No. Now, it depends on who the family is getting funding from, whether that transportation is free or not. But anyway, everything is complex. To people here in Enfield and in a 10-mile radius, the towns in a 10-mile radius. The majority of the people we serve are from Enfield, but they're from Suffield and Summers and the various towns around here. Our program runs from 8 to 4, and it's also, interestingly, it's located in the mansion that was the first piece on that property, the Orrin Thompson Mansion. And it's on the first floor of that building. And we've really brought that back to its original grandeur. So the parquet floors are there, the painting. We've brought in antiques that are of the era. So we have wonderful furniture. We have everything that you can think of that makes that place feel like home. When you come in there, you feel like you've come home. And we have different rooms so that you can do activities. Activities can be done in this room. They can be singing in another room. They can be doing arts and crafts in another room. The podiatry care people can be in another room. We have a hairdresser who comes in once a week. We have social workers who come in. We have a really full-service business going on there. And not only is it a full-service business in terms of those care things for the individual people we serve, but for the families. Karen takes calls in the middle of the night from people who, because if you have a loved one in your home who has Alzheimer's, stuff doesn't just happen 9 to 5. And things go haywire with any number of things, and it's good to have somebody to talk to. We have a social worker who is on our, not on our staff, it's a contract we have, and she comes in on a regular basis to visit with people and keep up with things and all of that. We too have a 3-year license. I think I might have said that. We too have a meal service. I think that's what Dawn was saying, that because we're licensed facilities, we all provide a similar kind of service. So what is different? And what is different about us is that we are a Felician ministry on top of everything else. And so there are a set of core values that we live by. And those core values dictate how we interact with families and with the people we serve. And I think that that's really what makes us different. And the Felician Sisters are so serious about their ministries living out those values that they also regularly come. Every 6 years they come and look at each of the ministries that they have with a team of people from like ministries and from the organization that is responsible for all Felician ministries. They come and evaluate the programs for the quality of the interaction with the clients and families. And if you don't live up to their values, you don't exist as a ministry. 2 years ago, they came and did that. And it was incredible what they had to say in terms of validating what my experience of going over there and seeing how people are cared for. Our what is that tagline is sharing the caring, and truly that is who we are and what we do. Do you want to say anything now, or do we?
Well, I was just going to say that we're open 8 to 4, but it doesn't, like Julie was saying, it doesn't end at 4. I mean, I've gone to people's clients' house on my own to help them out because taking care of someone with dementia is not easy. And they need your support. And that was one of the things, you fill out a satisfaction survey every year. We have to, that's part of the requirement of the CADS. That's Connecticut Association of Adult Day Services. And one of the things was they look for more support after hours because a lot of these family members, they don't have their own families helping. They're on their own. We have a lot of gentlemen taking care of their wives, wives taking care of their husbands, and there's no family support. So they need that extra support. And we have support group once a month, and they support each other, and actually they've gotten friendly. They call each other. I got 2 of them together. They both are artists. They paint. They go to each other's house, and they talk about their wives. So there's a big connection going on. You know, it doesn't just end at 4. Start at 8.
I think now is a good time to show you this video because it is really the clients talking about their experience. And that's how you get the flavor of it. And, okay.
Keeping them busy tonight.
My name is Mary Lou Wise. My husband's name is Arthur Wise. Arthur has been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. The anger was one of the first signs that I paid attention to that kind of put me on the path to find out exactly what what was happening to him. You know, I was scared, he was scared, we were both scared.
More and more people are being diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease every year.
Well, the biggest challenge for taking care of somebody 24 hours a day, they're almost like a baby. The cost of having somebody in a nursing home today is extremely expensive. It can be anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 a month.
It's a lot of work for a caretaker.
At times, caring for a person with Alzheimer's disease can be overwhelming. That's why the Felician Adult Day Center offers relief in the form of specialized care for those suffering from Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia.
The Felician Adult Day Center is probably the biggest help that I have. I know that he is safe, cared for, now he's happy, and then I have time for me.
The Felician Adult Day Center provides a nurturing and therapeutic program that supports clients in the Felician Franciscan tradition and spirit.
The families are very closely involved in our care plan process. We work one-on-one with them. Our director, Karen Enderle, meets with them prior to them starting at the daycare. Once they start at the daycare, all the staff is knowledgeable about their care plan. We have a lot of communication between each other in terms of the client, and we also revise it on a week-by-week basis.
It's not like they're walking into a nursing home or a hospital or something. They're walking into a home.
the facility is more like a home, and you know, they sit down in the kitchen and eat. They sit in the living room and play games. I think that's the best part of the whole thing.
They have trained staff, and they never have a problem. Everybody loves them, and it's a big relief for people that can't get out, that have people with dementia, because you cannot leave them alone.
The Felician Adult Day Center is dedicated to creating stable support for families to help them better understand and manage what their loved ones are going through.
The support groups helped me because you weren't alone. You had somebody that you could bounce ideas and problems off of, and they would have answers or experience the same situation, and vice versa. You would be giving them advice as to what they needed to look for.
He fits in. He just fits in, and he loves it. I never come in without hearing him laughing, and you know, it's a lifesaver for him and for me.
With the aid of the Felician Adult Day Center, it's possible for clients to remain at home and part of their families for as long as possible. Call today and schedule a consultation.
Probably knew some of those people, yes. And that was a while, so you know some of those people aren't with us anymore. But anyway, I'm not sure what to say when it comes to why it works. Why has it worked for 29 years? And it hasn't always worked in terms of the money. Sometimes the Felician Sisters have had to help us. But for the last 8 years, it's worked. And it's worked because we right-sized the staff, because we did outreach, because we did these kinds of things, because we have a website, because we have a Facebook page, because we did outreach to the communities and stuff like that. But we also track what it is that causes people to come to us, and it's almost always word of mouth. So Jack, that you saw there at the end, he knew everybody in the town, and he had a wonderful experience with us, and he told people who needed our service, and they came to us. And over, we find that in our intakes, because Karen faithfully asks, and faithfully they say to us, word of mouth.
Right. Yeah.
I knew somebody who came.
Right.
So, anyway, do you have questions for us?
First of all, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Councilor Ungaro.
Hi, thank you for coming. Can someone come for just half a day, 1 day a week? Can they come half day all week, or?
We don't do half days.
Okay.
We've done surveys of people and found that the early times people didn't really, there weren't enough people who wanted that to cause us to change our staffing. And we haven't had any people really asking us for the half days.
It's more the weekends.
Yeah.
More weekends.
So could someone come 2 days a week, or do they have to?
Yes, 2 days,
Okay.
yes. Yes. 2 day minimum.
Yeah, yeah.
Councilor Sferrazza.
When you were talking before, you talked about the sisters, and you talked about their passion and that they operate this facility based on their core values. Now, I have not been in a position where I've had to put a loved one, in, you know, like a lot of people had to do. And I sympathize with those people. I can see that if it was my mom, my dad, whatever, I'd want the most loving, compassionate place in the world. I get that. So I'd like to hear, because you didn't tell me what the core values were. You said you work by them, but what are those core values at the Felician Sisters?
One of them is compassion. You know that they have many different ministries. Even on our campus, they have 2 other ministries. So compassion when we're looking at children, as we do at Inter Montessori School, has one set of meanings. And when we're dealing with people at St. Francis Residence, it has another. But in a campus like this one, compassion becomes, because the campus has become more integrated in terms of elders and youth, the kids reach out to us at Felician Adult Day Center. They're great, a bunch of singers there, and they come over and sing for us and all of that. The connection and that feeling of caring for one another, caring and compassion everywhere. Solidarity with the poor, which is why we keep our rates as low as possible. We have a fund that we would use if somebody was not able to pay. We rarely use that because there are many ways that people can get funds. Transformation is another one, which is using your heart and mind, opening your heart and mind, and seeing what's really there, and changing and becoming and transforming yourself and others as a result of it. Uh-oh.
Oh, jeez.
Wait a
Wait, 4. Did you do 3 or 4?
There's 5.
There's 5, yes. Solidarity
There's 5,
with the
and
poor.
I'm having a moment.
I know. Transformation. Transformation, solidarity with the poor.
Peace and justice.
That's it.
Wait a second, I'll get my code
Don't tell
ready.
the nuns we can't remember.
Okay, so justice and peace, and that, you know, that's a part of what we are doing and creating even with this process. It's a just process to help people who want to keep their loved ones home with them. And so whatever we do as a community, as a center, as people, that helps to make that possible, we are creating justice in the world. And the other one was, oh nuts, I gotta light this thing up again. Respect for human dignity.
Right.
And that's, again, an apparent value, particularly with regard to this kind of service. And that's what they look at us on. And I avoid the word judging us on, because that would not fit with their values. They lovingly come to us and look at what we're doing and determine if it is living to the measure of these values.
I would just say that I am overwhelmed by the work that you're able to do with the patients you have. I admire everyone that works in the adult daycare and provides that service to the people that we've loved our whole life. And I admire you very much, and I thank you for that.
Councilor Carter.
I'm sure I speak for the council when I say how much we admire the work that you do. It's such a difficult job that you do every day, and you do an incredible job, and we respect that and admire you for doing that. Now, the question I have is, you've indicated you have 30 clients. Does that mean you serve 30 clients per day?
We can serve 30 per day.
30 is your capacity?
Capacity, yes.
And how many clients do you basically serve daily? If 30 is your capacity?
Anywhere between 15 and 21. Well, like right now, we have 21. So,
Have you ever reached a point where you've gone to capacity, where you've had 30 people and you've had to turn people away?
it didn't, I mean, unfortunately, it gets close, and then, you're dealing with the elderly. I mean, today you can have 21, tomorrow you can have 19, next 2 months you can have 24. It's not an easy thing. It's not.
We'd love it if we ever got to the point where we needed to.
Well, we did. Remember when we had to make up that chart?
Have you ever turned people away, though, because you've been?
No.
Okay.
No. We would have to do that, if, because our capacity, now, this is one of those oddities. Our capacity is set by the number of toilets we have. So you can have 10 people per toilet.
But we have more.
We have more than that, but we set our number at 30 just because that's a kind of crazy
Thank you.
marker.
Thank you.
Counselor Denny?
Yes, could I come to visit?
You would absolutely come. We would love
Anytime?
it. Mhm. Anytime.
That you're open?
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, we're open every day. Yeah, so just come and see us. Yeah. Yeah.
Counselor Bosco?
Again, for both of you companies, I mean, I got to give you all the credit in the world because I don't think I could handle that. And it takes a special person to work in a place like that. And actually, I should say all three, because we have a great adult day center ourselves. But there's some things that are better done by the private industry. And again, we have two top choices right now for the residents to go. So it's not like anyone's going to get left hanging out in the dry. But what do you, how does this work with your in Enfield here? Do you have a bus to pick these people up?
Yes, we do.
And how does that work? About the same as the other ones? You just get.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, Enfield's not a problem.
Enfield's easy
Yeah.
for us.
Right, but what I'm saying is, for assistance, it would be about the same as that happens in Enfield.
We have an aide that goes on the van.
Oh, you have an aide that
Yes,
goes on the van.
goes on the van, and they're brought to the door,
So you have more of a model like we used to have, where you have someone with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they come, they go out and pick people up in the morning, and then they go out and bring people home in the afternoon, and the aide is always on the van with them. We have Felician sisters who are in our day program, and because there's an uphill part to this, we have to go and pick them up on the van.
Yeah, right next door.
I like that, because I really, I understood how, there's rules and guidelines, and we have to follow them, or we have problems, and we had to take them off of our bus. So now you're going to put that back on if the people decide to go to you. And it'll be more like our old way of doing things, And, not to take anything away from Windsor, because I think they're doing a great job too, but you're here in town, so if people do need to drop someone off quick, it's no more inconvenience than our adult day center was with you people.
Right. Correct, yeah. Right. And let me say that we have never been in competition with anybody.
Well, you were there first, weren't you?
Well,
Yes.
in Enfield,
Yeah.
yes. But let me say that we also worked with your past director and went out and did recruiting stuff and all of that. So, recruiting has been going on for a while. It's the point being that this is a right service to have, however it is that you have it. And I don't envy your position here in trying to figure this out, because it is a right service. It may not be a service that the town of Enfield can provide, but it is right to have the service and do this for the people of the town.
Well, to that point, you actually make it easier. Both you groups, they really do, because there is a place for these people to go, and they'll get their care and compassion and their medical attention. So again, we're not leaving Grandma out to dry. She's going to have a nice, safe place, and you do have all the safeguards with so that, alarms and stuff, so no one runs out into traffic.
No.
Oh, and that
No, that's.
that was the biggest thing that I heard when we started discussing all this, and the point was, are they going to have the safeguards? Are they going to and by you people coming out today, it just told everyone that what, everyone's going to be safe. We have a nice, safe, clean environment with properly trained people, the correct certifications, and someone's just not going to run out a door.
Right.
Thank you.
Councilor Grisati.
Yeah. I think you provide a very, very good service. I live across the street from you, so I'm very familiar, with your program. What would be your process to transition families if they happen to choose your facility what would be, what would you do to, for the families that want to come in? Certain families have certain fundings that they've had. Now, would they have to restructure their funds that they get, their outside sources to make payments for this particular program? So I'd just like to know a transition process that you're going to provide to the families who are used to having a particular program that could be taken away from them.
Yeah. I don't imagine that that any of, so if they get CCI, we are a CCI provider, we are a VA provider. All the centers have the same kinds of funding streams.
Right.
We're a DDS provider. It really doesn't matter. Now, I can't guarantee what CCI might have to do to send a check to us as opposed to Enfield Adult Day Center. But I'm sure that, they're more than
Well,
capable
I think
of
that's
doing
going to be a concern to some of these families.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
Yeah,
But
I don't think it'll be a problem.
No, but we will meet the social workers you've got great social workers in this town who would work together with the families and us. We know them, with the families and us, to make that transition as seamless as possible. And I'm sure what would happen is your town social worker would meet with the families, probably bring them over to see the center or both centers or however, because I'm sure one of the opportunities you want to do is give people choice of where they want to go. And also that social worker would work together. Once the family made the choice, then the social worker, both at the center and your social worker, would work together with the funding source to make that transition. I don't think it would be, that part would
I don't think it'd
necessarily
be
be
a problem.
difficult.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else? Thank you both very much.
All right,
Thank you for
thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
Don't tell anybody I forgot to tell you.
I know, you're bad.
Moving on to item 7, public communications. First round will be 5 minutes. Starts at 8:16. If we go an hour, we just ask people to please refrain from personalities. Anyone would like to speak for the council? Ma'am. Sorry. Just name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Yes.
Welcome. Is the red light on?
No. There it is.
Welcome.
Good evening. Nice to see you all. Town manager, staff. My name is Holly Chafee. I live at 7 Salerno Drive, and my dad is one of the residents at the Adult Day Center. Okay, sorry. I'm the former director of the Adult Day Center when we had 40 clients, when we had not a waiting list, but close to it. To Mr. Kiner's question, publicity, we were very involved in the community. I was the president of the Adult Day Center Association for the state of Connecticut. I was involved on Capitol Hill, where we took patients to testify to the Council on Aging. There was Senator Kissel was on the committee there, and we would bring the patient to talk about funding for adult day centers and how important it is in the continuum of care. I presently am the CEO and president of the largest VNA in New England, so I am a home care nurse as well. Adult Day Center is part of the continuum of care that we are moving toward. It is, it has a future in it, but it has to be run by someone who has a compassion and a real heart for the community that it serves. We even had, when I ran the center, we even had people from the buildings there was a gentleman who played the guitar, and he came in on his lunch hour and played the guitar for the staff. It's about relationships. It's about getting out there and getting involved, having floats in the parade so people know that we exist. When I first came to the center, there was about 12 patients, and they were going to close way back then. And what it took was, oh, the bus can't stop at the day center to introduce new employees, because they used to do a tour of the town of all the things that the town included. I had lived here at that point for 10 years, and I didn't even know half the things that the town did, but that bus tour did it, and they didn't stop at the center. And I said, what's going on here? You really need to stop at the center and open the door and let people see what we do in this town. Northeast Utilities did a project. They built the gardens in the back. We had fashion shows. We had all kinds of things. I can't even begin to tell you the things that we did for publicity. But it's getting out in the community, just like the lady from Windsor said, that she was involved in all of these things. We had a commission where we had an attorney, a realtor, everything that you could think of that an elderly person would need. And we would go around from senior center to senior center and do presentations. All that's gone. The Adult Day Center as it exists today, and my dad attends there. I moved my parents up from New Jersey to live with me. This is my 4th house in Enfield. I've lived here for 37 years. I don't envy your job and the decisions that you have to make, but I would like to tell you that in home care, as a home care person, this is part of the continuum of home care. It is the best bargain in town. Where can you send somebody for 4 hours or for 8 hours for that price? You can't. My mom is home while my dad goes to the center, and that's her relief. While, they're both 85 years old. She's failing physically, he's failing mentally. I need to work, and I go to work every day, and I know that my father is safe at the Enfield Adult Day Center. Many of you have had experiences with the center. I know you have. I know the regulations inside and out. Right now, I would probably say we're not meeting those regulations in Enfield with all the cuts and all the things that have been removed from the center and all of the things. But I have to tell you, you have no clue what it's like when your dad comes home and he has a smile this big from ear to ear because of the loving care that he receives at that center. It's amazing. The staff there is incredible, who's left, and they love their job and they have the passion.
20 seconds. Does anyone interrupt there? Sorry.
So I just would like to say on behalf of my dad, my mom, myself, and the community, please consider what you're voting for. It's easy to walk away from it, but I'll have to tell you that there's a history there, and Dorothy Allen, when she started this, really had innovation and knowledge to do something good for this community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak for the council? Gina.
Gina Sullivan, 11 Spear Avenue. The Enfield Adult Day Center is pretty much everything the Windsor and the Felician Sisters is. Windsor and Felician Sisters seem like wonderful places. They gave a wonderful presentation. But Enfield Adult Day Center is also a wonderful place. Enfield Adult Day Center has everything the other places mentioned have as well. They had the videos, they did the marketing, they did. I'm saying this in the past. They haven't. Sadly, the Enfield Adult Day Center was set up to fail 2 years ago when senior leadership changed. If you want to put clients on a bus to Windsor with no aids for a longer drive, that could be a problem. Felician Sisters, do they have a sliding fee scale? I'm not really sure. No one asked that question tonight, and I wasn't able to ask it. If they don't, then clients that currently attend the Adult Day Center 5 days a week, because Enfield has a sliding scale, they may only be able to attend Felician for 2 days because there is no sliding scale. That makes a big difference for someone who has a loved one in this program. I want to share a memory that just happened to pop up today on my Facebook page. It's kind of ironic. It was March 4th, 2014, and these were my words. Mom wants to go back 4 days a week. She loved it. As I typed these words, tears are streaming down my face as I'm so happy. What a wonderful place Enfield Adult Day Center is. She felt comfortable, everyone was very nice, and the program is amazing. Thank you to the town of Enfield for all involved in the daily activities to make that program happen. This will give my mom the socializations she so desperately needs, as well as fun and friendships. Another memory came up, same day, 4 years ago or 5 years ago. This was a post that was shared by the Enfield Adult Day Center Facebook page, same date. It was, I believe, my mom's first day there. They were having a Mardi Gras party. They had games and contests, and the picture showed clients, including my mom, tossing a balloon to each other as they sat at the table. You can just tell by the picture that they were enjoying this. It reminded me of a comment made by the current social services director to one of the employees at the Enfield Adult Day Center when she first started her mission to set the day center to fail. She said to the employee that the balloon tossing was not appropriate for the clients and that they needed to stop doing it. Well, funny, the Windsor video showed just that activity. Them sitting there with their noodles with the balloons. Many clients at the day center have many different levels of Alzheimer's as well as different medical issues. This balloon activity brought laughs and smiles to the clients' faces. I know, because I would visit frequently when my mom was there. I saw the activity in action. I will never understand why the town would hire someone that seemed to have no care, concern, or knowledge about what is best for our elderly citizens. Last town council meeting, I was very upset about the conversation surrounding the Adult Day Center. When are we, as a community, going to start valuing our elderly population and not look to them as if they are a cost burden? We're all going to be there someday. All of us. By closing this program, you are sending the message that Enfield does not care about the seniors. Wait, I'm wrong. When the town council votes on the fate of the day center, which I assume is coming soon because you have invited 2 of the representatives tonight to speak from the other day centers, I've also heard that clients' families are having meetings set up to discuss transition plans.
20 seconds.
So again, when the town council votes to close the day center, you will have 6 votes, probably on this side, in favor, 5 on this side. Would it be then safe to say that the Enfield Republicans do not support our elderly population, kind of like the ERTC posting that the Enfield Dems support tolls because they did not vote in favor of a useless resolution? Is that how it'll work?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy. Welcome.
Judy Kilty, 83 Abbey Road. I'm reading this tonight for a family friend who planned to read it herself, but sadly, she has been made to feel intimidated and fearful of repercussions against her mother. A copy of what I'm reading has been sent to each one of you on the council with no acknowledgement to date. She's already been scolded by the director of the daycare center for emailing council members regarding her concerns, and she's afraid her mom will be kicked out of the program after making this public. I certainly hope not. I won't say her name, Her mom started early Alzheimer's at 62 and has been a client of Enfield Daycare for the past year. She's extremely concerned for the future of the ADC and the transition plan that Dawn and Mr. Bromson, I only say Dawn because I don't know how to say your last name, I'm sorry, have hastily prepared. To say the program was a godsend to our family would be a gross understatement. The employees truly care about my mom and all their clients. They've called us to ask what her favorite snacks are, what exercises we're doing with her physical therapist to help her with her foot pain so they can incorporate them while she is there. They've gone so far as to massage her feet when she's had a hard day of pacing. They play her favorite music and engage her in ways we are unable to at home. My father is able to continue working part-time, and we have peace of mind that she's safe, loved, and engaged 3 days a week. I implore you all to stop in and see the amazing things that Joanne, Terry, and the other staff do on a day-to-day basis. I can also say with confidence that if we did not have access to the adult daycare center, my mom would undoubtedly already be in a nursing home. By taking this program away, the town is playing God with people's lives and forcing families to make very difficult decisions we're not ready to make. It also strikes me as alarming that a person hired to head our social service department is so eager to close such a program that is so desperately needed. As stated by Dawn herself, we are one of only 2 municipalities in the Hartford County with adult daycare programs. Long gone are the days of Pam Brown, when we had a social service director who did not treat people as a dollar sign. While tough decisions at the executive level are inevitable, it's hard to know how Mr. Bromson and Don can make such decisions and still sleep well at night. I also feel as though residents and paying customers of the ADC, we deserve more than a month's notice to transition to the Fleeson Sisters program, as mentioned by Mr. Bromson. With that transition comes a slew of questions. Will those of us who receive grant money through this Connecticut Home Care for the Elders program and North Central Agency on Aging be able to use such funding to pay for the program? Is there even room for 13 clients at Felician's? Will Dial-A-Ride still be available to transport the clients? The clientele of ADC are elderly and fragile. Some change in transition has been proven to be detrimental to mental health and wellness of such a population. This is just a short list of my concerns. There's no argument that the building needs to be repaired. There was a mention of $300,000 needed to do such work. In reviewing the ADC's budget, I see there were $0 appropriated to maintenance in the fiscal year 2016 and 2017. There was only $200 appropriated for 2018. If I'm reviewing the wrong budget, please let me know. If we do not maintain our vehicles, they inevitably break and need to be repaired. Will the ADC just become another empty building sitting in disrepair due to negligence of the town? I've been sick to my stomach since watching last month's meeting. We have little options left for care, and the ADC has been our last lifeline to keep my mom home and safe with the family where she belongs. Alzheimer's patients can live for decades with this disease, and we are desperately trying to avoid having her spend her last days in a nursing home. While I understand the counselors, you are forced to make tough decisions during budget time. Please know the money needed to maintain this incredible program is small change in terms of the impact it has on the lives of the Enfield residents. I appreciate any information you can give me regarding the transition and any hope for keeping the ADC open. And as I said, she's very concerned that her mother will have repercussions for saying this, and the people in charge know who I speak of. Thank you.
Thank you. No one else like to speak for the council? Ma'am?
Doesn't move very quick. Okay. Joanne Alphonse, 1221 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut. I've been blessed to work for the town of Enfield for the last 17 years. And when I say blessed, I mean blessed. We did have the 8 on the bus, and it was me. And it sometimes was an hour and a half on the bus, but we knew they were safe, and it helped the families immensely, knowing that they would see somebody caring for their loved ones, taking them by their hand, buckling them up. That was one of the first things that was gone. We do not have the beautician anymore. We do not have the podiatrist anymore. We do not have any entertainment anymore. We do not have a recreation director anymore. there's really not too much more that can be taken away without seeing it. Bye, you know, and it's been my heart for 17 years. And I'm not crying for my job because I love the place. And I really feel for the families because they need it. They need it. But they need more than what we're offering right now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. DeYoung?
Good evening, George Young, 8 Holly Lane, Enfield. These are tough acts to follow, and I can empathize with everyone that has spoken. However, first of all, I'd like to thank the Finance Director, Mr. Wilcox, for answering some of my questions from prior months at the last meeting. Secondly, I'd like to thank the Town Manager for offering me the opportunity to sit down with the Finance Director at some mutually agreeable date to review my concerns and go over some of my previous comments. I'll make an effort to contact Mr. Wilcox at some time this month to set up a time. In response to comments made at the last meeting, which I was not able to attend, I hope you would not restrict public comments to only the current night's agenda. The citizens value this opportunity to speak on issues that we are concerned with and not necessarily the evening's agenda, which we probably have little or no comment. I'm not sure where the information comes from that only a few people are listening and about 50 people are watching the telecast. I have spoken to a number of people who watch it on Channel 16, and they record it so they can selectively watch what they want to see during the meeting, and others have brought it to my attention that they watch it on YouTube, which I had no idea. Others have said they do not come to the meeting because they would not be able to control their tongue during the meeting, and therefore they have restricted themselves to yelling at their own television. Do we really want to be like some towns that do restrict the voices? I hope not. At the first council meeting in February, Mr. Kiner asked that the $200 fee be waived as part of the policy to not charge organizations like the Enfield Lions Club, who do a great job with their twice-a-year breakfasts. I'm sure some thought went into charging these organizations for the use of the senior center because they do incur costs, and $200 is not a large amount, and I certainly agree with that. He said they do the breakfast 2 times a year and make about $1,000 for each one, which they give to 4 town nonprofit groups, which would be about $500 each. And without the charge, they would be increasing it to $600 each for the year. My problem with that is that they are really asking the senior center to contribute $100 to each of them. The senior center could use those funds that are being charged, and it should not be considered a penalty. At the last council meeting, it was appreciated that the deputy mayor asked Mr. Wilcox to read into the minutes some of the answers to questions posed by myself and others. None of us said that these were gotcha moments, and that comment from the deputy mayor was uncalled for. Many people do not come here because they will not be insulted by a member of the council. Those of us who dedicate our time and do speak in the town's best interest, we have them at heart. And incidentally, I'm not a municipal gadfly either. I have read the PAR report, or the Project and Activities Report, and I will not take any time discussing it now, but will do so when I meet with Mr. Wilcox. I was glad to see some acknowledgement of where some funds really came from and what the real name is of some of the budgeted expenditures. One last thing is that I know it is difficult, as Mr. Wilcox mentioned at the last meeting, to get CPA firms in Connecticut who specialize in municipal auditing. So I contacted the Connecticut Society of Certified Public Accountants the day after the last meeting that the council had. They provided me with at least 10 firms, plus the prior firm that did the work for the town. I'll give them to the finance director, and then you can make the call. Actually, I guess I have to give them to the town manager tonight since the finance director isn't here. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, George.
No handouts.
Anyone else like to speak for the council? For the first time? Tom?
Tom Serrard, 32 D'Annunzio Avenue. When I served on a board very similar to yours, one of the things I was known to say was that you use your head to make decisions and you use your heart to implement them. The compromise I think you would have, should you decide to adopt the Felician Sisters with regards to the sliding scale, would be to have the town take a portion of the money they're saving, at least until the transition is done, and cover those that would need the assistance. No one has a corner on the market of compassion or services. I think what we're seeing is a combination of events, and we all know that the budgetary times that we see today are getting worse. There's a couple of issues that I really want to talk about, other than the adult daycare center, that have been come up in the news. First of them is forced regionalization, and the second one is the potential of having 25% of the teachers' pensions forced down upon your throats. As a business owner, as a taxpayer, I can tell you this, that in my current life, 70% of all of my problems stem from government. Overreach, overregulation, and overtaxation. It's as simple as that. Forced regionalization, if you look at it in any other way than the first shot at home rule, you're not living in the real world. When an elected legislator from the dais at the LOB has the misconception of being able to say that the towns exist because the states allow them, shows a blatant and misunderstanding of both the state and federal constitutions. One of the things that makes this country great, and one of the things that makes this country stand above all other countries, is the ability for us to have conversations like this and respect each other's difference of opinion, because we have rules. The rules are in the constitutions. What makes us unique is the ability to understand that the power that comes in this country is based on the individual, and we're the only nation that has that enshrined. We have value because we are alive. We are valued because we are human. It does not come from government. It comes from something higher, whether you believe in a God or not. When people misunderstand that, we have problems. Because if you can dehumanize someone, you can shut them down. Half of the problems that we have when we discuss our ideas is that we're discussing from polar opposites. It's all of this or all of this, and there's no room in the middle. I'm happy to say, and proud of the fact, that while I served, that didn't happen. When I served, I had equal numbers of Republicans and Democrats in leadership seats. I valued everyone's opinion, even if I disagreed with you. So, beware of regionalization. It's just another grab. It won't be but a matter of time before your positions will be at risk. While regionalization may help the town of Enfield, at what cost? Our neighbors? I don't ever want Enfield to benefit at the cost of Suffield or Summers. Because you know how representation will be established. It will be established by the locality that has the highest population. How long is it before Hartford gets to tell us, Enfield, how much we're going to give them? Regionalization is awarding those who are fiscally irresponsible and punishing those who aren't. And it's not a partisan thing, and it's not a partisan statement. Look at it. We've made a lot of sacrifices as a town. We're making cuts now from programs that are obviously very good. Why? Because you can only go to the well so many times. There's not a person here, I believe, that would stand up publicly and say, I want to raise your taxes. Not a person. I don't believe any one of you would say it. So be careful. And thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak for the council for the first time? For the second time? Gina?
Gina Sullivan, 11 Spear Avenue. I just want to finish because I wasn't able to finish. I did a little research today, and when Blair Manor was closing, the sitting town council at the time, which many of you were a part of, you all spoke out against that facility closing and wanted to do whatever you could on behalf of the town to save Blair Manor. You all had a lot of compassion for the families that came before you. You seem to understand the impact that families face with Blair Manor closing. So I must ask, what has changed? Where's that compassion gone? You are, in essence now, trying to do what you were trying to help fight against. You are wanting to close a service that is so important to our residents in need and their families. Why the change of heart? It's easy to make this decision to close the Enfield Adult Day Center when it does not affect you personally. I'm glad some of you feel better now. Sadly, clients' families do not. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak for the council? I declare public communications closed. Moving on to item 9, councilor communications. Excuse me, item 8, councilor communications. Any councilor? Deputy Mayor Suzak?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and move items E, F, G, H, I, and J to miscellaneous and proceed to vote.
Motion made to suspend the rules. Seconded by Councilor Denny. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none by show of hands, all those in favor? Opposed? 11 in favor, 0 against. To suspend the rules and move to miscellaneous. Anything else? Councilor Bosco?
Well, first off, Don, please don't leave. I don't think it's fair that we personally beat Don up. She has a job that she has to do. And if people don't think she probably hasn't lost sleep over this, they got another thing coming. All of us are having a tough decision on this one. And, you know, Gina, I'm going to say this. I agree with you 100%. My grandmother-in-law went there, and that was one of the best services that there were out there. And I saved it. But it comes time that we need to move it. But it went downhill and was allowed to do well. No, I'm not going to get in an argument with. I'll talk to you later on it offline. But it's still not fair to. It's not fair to beat someone up. I know I'll get beat up after this for sticking up for Don, but that's what we have supervisors for. And a supervisor has to do a tough job, and sometimes it's not the most job that people appreciate. Just as our jobs up here, we sometimes get beat up for things that we know information that other people don't. We make a decision, an educated decision. May it be right or wrong, and I'm sure I voted for wrong things before, but I did everything with the information I had at the time. And it's just not fair. So I just want to get that out there. And yes, it's going to hurt closing this down, but you know, it really does. We have 2 organizations that came in and they say they can do it. And it seems like they're going to do it with the same compassion. And everybody who, you know, the people that talk, they're saying what the senior center used to be, or the adult day center used to be. Well, it seems like we can't do that no more, but these people are. So, you know, maybe it's just time to do it, and they're going to go into another element, and maybe they will get something better for them. And it's like, not like we're trying to push them out, trying to neglect. It's just a lot of energy was put into this, and a lot of thought has been done, and sometimes it's just time. And it really sickens me. I'm sitting here with a stomach that's turning, but sometimes we have to face reality. And you know, I don't know what to say, but it's not right to pick on our employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kiner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chris, we spoke earlier before the meeting about the need to revisit what we do with nonprofits and how much we charge them, considering what they do for this town. And last week, I got a call from the president of the Enfield Women's Club, and this is an organization that donates literally thousands of dollars to the town of Enfield through scholarships. They do the cultural arts. They donate to Loaves and Fishes, and the list goes on and on. To make a long story, apparently they do raffles, and the state has given the power over to the towns to collect the fees for the raffles. They're claiming that they're spending $60 for a permit when surrounding communities are paying something like $20 or $30 for each permit. Now, from what the president of the Enfield Women's Clubs told me, they don't mind paying. Obviously, they have to pay for the permit, but they think they're being asked to spend more than they really should. And I think we, as a council, and you as town manager, have to take in consideration all the good that these organizations do. And I really hope that over the next few weeks or whatever, we do revisit it in some manner so that these organizations can keep benefiting the town of Enfield without being forced to contribute large sums of money. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Davis?
First, I want to thank everyone that came and spoke. Appreciate you guys coming. And also, my heart goes out to all the families out there that is going through this with Adult Day Center. I don't think any of our residents should have to go through this. And talking to a few of the ones that attend the Adult Center, you can tell it's affecting their life a lot. So I want you, I know they've left and the other ones are watching at home because they don't want retaliation against them. I'm with you. I'm never going to agree to shut anything down that affects our seniors in this town. It's not going to happen. So, you know, everybody else has their own opinion, but I want you to know at home that I will be your voice and continue to fight. Not that we'll save it, because as we were told at the last meeting, it's count the votes, and they have 6. But just so you know, it's not everybody wanting to close it. We appreciate our seniors, especially Adult Day Center, as I had an aunt that passed with Alzheimer's. And it's a lot, and it's a big burden on the family, and they need that break. And I watched my family go through it. And that was another thing that made Enfield so special, is we had that here. A lot of communities didn't, but guess what? Enfield did. And that was one more thing that set us apart from others. So just so you all know at home, and then to everybody that spoke, thank you for coming out and using your voice and speaking. Thank you.
Councilor Rongai?
I wanted to thank everybody for coming out. We listened to everyone's comments, and we consider everything. I had a couple announcements. The Enfield Together Coalition is having their meeting tomorrow, and we're working on getting a speaker for the faith community for a youth rally for all the youth in the town. Youth Services is having a trauma response training for the youth staff and the school staff. It's for the pre-K through elementary, and they're going to open that up to the faith-based community. So it's going to be good to have some extra training for any type of trauma that's needed. The Savings Institute over on Freshwater had their grand reopening, and the place was packed out, and there was standing room only. And there's some really smart people over there that know what they're talking about. Also, congratulations to the 4th of July committee. They had their fundraiser on Saturday night, and it was sold out. And kudos to them for a job well done.
Fun next week. The dinner. Councilor Crisari.
Okay. I have a couple of announcements or congratulations, so to say. I want to congratulate all the members from the Allied Stars who participated last weekend in the Connecticut State Special Olympics Winter Games. The team earned many medals. I think there were 4 gold, 5 or 6 silver, and a couple of bronze medals and ribbons, the kids that earned. So it was a great day. Coming up March 11th, first readers ceremony to be held at Enfield High School. I also want to mention the Jacob Carlander Memorial Scholarship Fund. They're having a fundraiser March 13th at Red Robin. And I'm going to steal Liz's thunder here. The Girl Scouts Madness, March 16th, coming up at the Enfield Square. And then I want to just mention a couple things with the Commission on Aging. Just a reminder, the Senior Home Repair Program begins, or they're accepting applications March 11th, and they're going to be scheduling appointments starting on April 2nd. So that's a very good program, and everybody takes advantage of that. And also, today we all received a web letter, the Spring 2019 web letter. I just want to mention to all the viewers, if you get a chance, go on the town website and view it. It gives you a lot of valuable information about all the departments that are happening in town. So, okay, thank you.
He just announced it.
March 16th.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Ongara.
I don't know, did you mention that the Memorial Scholarship Fund for Jacob Carlander, that it's going to be awarded to the Enfield graduates who played sports and display the positive character that Jacob had? Jacob will forever be remembered for the impact that he had and the legacy of kindness and the generosity that he left behind. So that he really they want to keep him remembered. Also, 10% of your total bill from Red Robin is going to be donated to that cause.
Anyone else? I just have 2 quick things. Just want to thank the Miss Trifone, Miss Fitzgerald over at Enfield Street School for inviting me to read a book to the youngsters, and to Mrs. McGuire, her maiden name over at Prue and Scrandall. I'll tell you one thing, we got some pretty smart kids, asked some pretty tough questions. So had a lot of fun. I appreciate the invite. I just want to also announce, and I saw the article, we chatted a little bit about the patch, to just congratulate the 23 organizations in town. I know there's from a supermarket to a package store to a convenience store who passed the test, for lack of a better word, for young folks going in and trying to purchase alcohol, and all 23 of the establishments, and the list is out on the Enfield patch, passed the test with flying colors, which is a great thing, in my opinion. It's great to see the community and following the law, and not, pass on alcohol to our young folks. So again, just want to announce that. Moving on to number 9, Town Manager Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Number 1, I would just like to indicate that we had a response from both of our state reps and state senator to be here tonight to give an update, but Senator Kissel was ill, and Representative Arnone had a public health hearing that he had to attend. So we wanted to keep everybody together, so we'll extend another invitation to get them all here in the near future. Number 2, staff spoke today with our attorneys and the firm that was chosen to do the testing over on the Eversource site where the proposed train station is. Again, I will just tell you there's a confidentiality agreement, so we can't get into specifics, but I will tell you, reading between the lines, that we are now moving forward after receiving the results of that and that testing to meet with Eversource to hopefully move forward in acquiring their property. So that is underway as we speak. In regard to raffles and facility use, and this has come up, I will just indicate there are 2 different issues as Mr. Kiner had said, the state foisted the raffling and the charges onto the municipalities a couple of years ago, and the council voted on a rate structure. There is some latitude there, and it can be revisited and adjusted upward or downward. There is a certain minimum, but we went to a maximum, so there is room to look at that and revisit it, and we will do so. Part and parcel is the facilities use policy. One of the questions with the Lions clubs, the Rotary, when they come to do something on the weekend and have a pancake breakfast, and they raise money and they do good things and good works in our community. So we're going to look at those two to see what criteria you should have for me to waive that. I would only say it's a cautionary tale. As we well know, there's a cost-benefit analysis for everything, like the prior nonprofits. I'm sure you'd like to give them all every dollar they requested, but we only have limited funds, so you've got to make decisions. Likewise, we have to be cautious on two fronts. When we open a senior center or one of our facilities on the weekend, we have a minimum custodial cost to open and close it. So if we don't get that minimum from the charity, that's something the taxpayers pay, but that's a policy decision that the council will make. And we can revisit that. Also, I want to tell you that in doing our, when we did the Honeywell and we did the cost savings, and that was tied into energy savings. So we have to be careful not to overuse and have lights on and heat on weekends, because we get a rebate of about $1.5 million a year. We don't want to put that in jeopardy because we use the facilities and exceed that maximum that we're not supposed to exceed. So we have to be looking at those factors as well. I will also just tell you in regard to the adult daycare. I'm reading the tea leaves. I'm your town manager. It would be irresponsible for me, hearing the discussion and the way it's going, not to plan for a transition or to bring individuals in to let you know that there are other agencies that could provide the service if you determine that you are going to discontinue it. How reckless would it be for me to wait till the budget's adopted in May or June and then tell the families you're on your own and now find a place? So I'm guilty as charged. I asked Dawn and told her to look at a transition plan and look at it so that if you so decide to discontinue it, these people won't be caught short. And I think that's the appropriate thing to do. In regard to the comment that there's intimidation or people are afraid, that's intolerable. I find it amazing, given our record on customer service and respect to our residents, especially those at risk that would be elderly persons at the daycare. Perhaps you all have heard about something. No one's come to me. I'm the CEO. I run the town. The employees work for me. And there will be zero tolerance. If I were to find and investigate a complaint that someone was mistreated, the responsible party would be terminated immediately. So if somebody has that concern, I want everybody at home and those here to understand there would be zero tolerance for any such conduct. I don't believe that it is occurring. I hear a lot of claims made, and people don't want to put their name to something, and I can understand that when it's anonymous. And the chief can concur in the police world, too. When people don't want to put their name to something, it gives you a little pause for thought. But somebody can call me. They don't have to call the council. They don't have to go through a third person. They can call me directly. I will keep their name confidential, and I will investigate it immediately, because we wouldn't tolerate that, neither would you. I would like to say, too, about the adult daycare. I was there when it opened, and I agree with Liz. I had brown hair and no gray hair. Somebody just sent me a picture, and I concur with her. It was a great and exciting day because it was a great service that we were offering our community. But you know what? You've got to invest in your infrastructure or your programs if you want them to be the best. Enfield has always delivered the best services when they decided that they were going to pursue something. And it's just like you did a new high school, and you did a new JFK, and you did new water pollution control. And if you want to make that place competitive, then I will give it my all, and so will the staff. But you've got to commit the money that we discussed, the $300,000 in infrastructure. And I will go with you, Councilman Denny, to Windsor to look at their facility. I've seen the Felicians, and I've most recently visited ours. If you think they're comparable, I leave it to your discretion. If you want to compete and you want to be make it the best center, Windsor, they didn't really want to talk about. It's $400,000 they put into it. If we want to make that commitment of staff and resources, it will be the best in the Northeast. I give you my pledge. But that's if you want to make that kind of commitment. And short of that, we shouldn't offer mediocrity. I think the people there are dedicated. It's been a great service. And I would just say this, from looking at it and studying it, as they both said, this is not unique to our facility. Nobody's trying to run it into the ground, I assure you. I wouldn't tolerate that. I ensure, just like the senior center hours, I said, give it a good try on the weekend. Don't pull any punches, don't have a predisposition to make it fail. And the numbers weren't there, and the council agreed. We went back and eliminated Saturday. Likewise with this, I told them to go out, to market, to go into the community, to do everything they could with the resources they had. And we didn't change the numbers, because there is a change. And any of you can go home tonight, and you've seen the ads. Keep mom at home. Keep mom at home. So if you want to combat it, put the resources there. Put your money where your mouth is, and I'll make it work. But short of that, if it's going to go away for all the reasons that we've heard about, then let's at least have the respect to be honest with the citizens and the people who are there, and give them the respect to give them a transition to 2 excellent facilities if you choose not to continue ours.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have.
Any questions? Hearing none, town attorney report.
Good evening, everyone. There's no formal report tonight.
Questions for the town attorney? None. Moving on to item 11, reports of special committees. Any reports?
I have one. The JFK Building Committee met. The 4 firms were shortlisted: JCI, Moser Pylon, Tecton, and Antonazzi. They'll be interviewed on March 16th. The 18th, the resolution will come before the council, and the contract needs to go to finance and the town attorney, because we must be under contract by April 1st. Thank you.
Any other reports? Hearing none, moving on to item 12, old business. Page 1A, 1 and 2, we have no appointments. Items 3 through 15 on page 2, we have none. On top of page 3, item number 16, prison town liaison. Do we have an appointment? A nomination?
Yes.
Someone make a nomination? Oh, sorry, make a motion to take out, do we have a motion to take item 16 off the table? Deputy Mayor Suzak, seconded by Councilor Denny. All those in favor, removing from the table by a show of hands. Opposed? Any abstentions? 10 in favor, 0 against. You have a nomination, please. Deputy Mayor Suzak.
Steve Nemitz.
Second by Councilor Bosco. Do we have a motion to close nominations?
So moved. Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Suzak, second by Councilor Crissati. All those in favor of closing nominations by a show of hands. Opposed? Any abstentions? Any discussion on the main motion? Hearing none by show, roll call, please.
Councilor Sferrazza.
4.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
Steve Nemitz.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Bosco.
4.
Councilor Sakala. Is 4. Councilor Crissati.
4.
Councilor Davis.
4.
Councilor Denny.
4.
Councilor Keiner. 4. Mayor Ludwig.
4.
Councilor Muller.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Item 17 remains on the table. Item 18, do I have a motion to remove item 18 from the table? By Councilor Denny, seconded by Deputy Mayor Suzak. All those in favor of moving from the table by show of hands? Opposed? Any abstentions? 11 in favor, 0 against. Do I have a nomination, please? Councilor Crissati.
Nominate Ken Edgar.
A nomination for Ken Edgar is by Councilor Crissati, seconded by Councilor Denny. Do I have a motion to close nominations? By Deputy Mayor Suzak, seconded by Councilor Denny. All those in favor of closing nominations by show of hands? Opposed? Abstentions? We have 11 in favor, 0 against. Any discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Sferrazza.
4.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
Kenneth Egger.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Bosco.
4.
Councilor Sakala.
4.
Councilor Crissati.
4.
Councilor Davis.
4.
Councilor Denny.
4.
Councilor Keiner.
4.
Mayor Ludwig.
4.
Councilor Muller.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Item 19 stays on the table. Do I have a motion to remove item 20? By Councilor Muller, seconded by Councilor Crissati. Do I have a nomination, please? By Councilor Muller.
Richard Stroney.
Nomination of Mr. Stroney, seconded by Councilor Ungar. Do I have a motion to close nominations? Deputy Mayor Suzak, seconded by Councilor Crissati. All those in favor of closing nominations by show of hands? 11 in favor, 0 against. Do I have any discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Sferrazza.
4.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
Richard Stroney.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Bosco.
4.
Councilor Sakala.
Richard Stroni.
Councilor Crissati.
4.
Councilor Davis.
4.
Councilor Denny.
4.
Councilor Keiner.
4.
Mayor Ludwig.
4.
Councilor Muller.
4.
It's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Item B, Town Manager Appointment, items 1 through 9, we have none. On top of page 4, items 10 through 14, we have none. C, appointments from Town Council appointed P and Z, we have none. Item D remains on the table. Item E remains on the table. Item F, at some point, I think we'd be able to take off the table since we have separate nomination, right? Since we have other resolutions. Item F, there's really no need to keep it on the agenda. Is there?
I wouldn't know.
Well, I would leave F on because we were also going to try to be proactive and look at other roofs.
Okay, okay.
We are.
Okay.
So I would leave it on.
Item 13, new business. Item A, there's no consent agenda. Item B remains on the table. Appointment. No appointments from item C and the town manager. No town council P and Z approved. And item D. There are items for discussion. Item 14, there's no consent agenda. Again, no appointments from item B on town council. No appointments from item C from the town manager. Item D, no appointments from council approved P and Z appointed. Item E remains tabled, the resolution to approve the 4-year collective bargaining agreement for Local 1029 will be voted, or be acted upon on next meeting as a stay for the 10-day period to let the public know. We move on to item 15, miscellaneous. Sorry, let me get went faster than I expected. Sorry about that. So let's move on to item E, discussion resolution resolving the authorizing the expenditure for the Henry Barnard School roof replacement project phase 2. Resolved that the Enfield Town Council hereby authorize the funding in the amount of $300,000 for the roof replacement project phase 2 at Henry Barnard Elementary School, approved or submitted on February 25th, 2019 by the Town Manager's Office. By Councilor Muller, seconded by Councilor Corsati. Not sure, do we need any update? Man, this is continuation of last council's resolutions. Okay, got it, okay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Sferrazza.
4.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
You're right.
4.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Bosco.
4.
Councilor Sakala.
4.
Councilor Crisati.
4.
Councilor Davis.
4.
Councilor Denny.
4.
Councilor Keiner.
4.
Mayor Ludwig.
4.
Councilor Muller.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Item, which is actually item G, resolution adopting a social services program job assistant description, and I apologize. Resolved in accordance with Chapter 7, Section 2 of the Town Charter, the Enfield Town Council does hereby adopt the job description for the position of social services program assistant submitted on 2/8/2019 by Don Homer Bouthier, Director of Social Services. Do I have a motion? By Councilor Ferrazza, seconded by Councilor Muller. This is the continued job,
Correct. It's part of the reorganization that was proposed in the last budget, and it's melding a couple of part-time positions for one, which will be more efficient, and there will be no impact on the budget.
any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Sferrazza.
4.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
4.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Bosco.
4.
Councilor Sakala.
4.
Councilor Crisati.
4.
Councilor Davis.
4.
Councilor Denny.
4.
Councilor Keiner.
4.
Mayor Ludwig.
4.
Councilor Muller. There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Moving on to item H, resolution to schedule a public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2019 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program. Whereas the Office of Community Development intends to apply for fiscal year 2019 Community Development Block Grant funds, and whereas the Community Development Block Grant Program, Regulation 24, CFR 570.486A, required that a public hearing be held to discuss the proposed application, and whereas the council wishes to seek input from the residents of the town of Enfield regarding the town's community development and housing needs and potential project ideas, now therefore be it resolved, the town council will hold a public hearing in the Enfield Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, on Monday, March 18th, 2019, at 6:50 p.m. to allow interested residents an opportunity to express their opinions regarding the proposed application, prepared on February 22nd, 2019, by the Office of Community Development. By Councilor Muller, second by Councilor Corsati. Real quick.
Briefly, there will be a public hearing, and Nelson will be here to explain it, but it's for up to $150,000. We're doing it in conjunction with the Housing Authority. It would benefit Green Valley Housing, and it's for sidewalks, driveways, and other safety improvements.
Great. Any questions for the town manager? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Sferrazza.
4.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
4.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Bosco.
4.
Councilor Sakala. 4. Councilor Crissati.
4.
Councilor Davis.
4.
Councilor Denny.
4.
Councilor Keiner.
4.
Mayor Ludwig.
4.
Councilor Muller.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Item I under miscellaneous, resolution authorizing the town manager to enter an agreement with the Connecticut State Library and Scan Optics for a historical document preservation grant. Resolved that Christopher W. Bronson, the town manager, is empowered to execute and deliver in the name and on behalf of this municipality a contract with the Connecticut State Library and Scan Optics for a historical documents preservation grant, subject to review and approval of the town attorney, submitted by Suzanne Olnicki, town clerk, on 2/25/2019. By Councilor Muller, seconded by Councilor Denny. And this is, I don't know, Suzanne, this is your program. I know you guys have been doing a great job. Real 5-minute dissertation?
Well, I don't know about a dissertation, but what we're doing is we're right now working with the building department and the engineering department, scanning their maps. They're then loaded into a system that can be shared by all the different departments. So if Buildings and Grounds needs to look at a map, they don't have to call and ask to have it pulled. They don't need to have it copied for them and sent over. They can go into our system, call up the map, and view it from over where they are. And it can work that way from all the different departments. Police, whatever.
Thank you. Councilor Denny.
A timeline to have all of this done, is that, or we're in the process of doing that?
Oh, we're in the process.
The timeline is going to be forever or a long time?
No, I wouldn't say forever.
What?
But
100 years.
it will be many, many grant.
It's going to be a while.
Grant times, yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Because a lot of those things are, a lot of those maps now are getting,
Right. This helps save them. They're
Correct.
fragile. They don't need to be handled as often anymore, and all that. It keeps them safe. So, and they are.
now, will this grant pay for the whole project, or
The grant money, it pays for each section, yes.
it will? Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Suzak?
Suzanne, will this be available to the public?
No.
She's got the one-word answer for me.
It's in our SharePoint system it's on our,
It's
you know,
internal.
in-house
Yes.
computer
Right.
system.
Okay, could somebody come to the clerk's office and view these on a computer there?
Well, they could, but there's also some concerns about what these particular maps are. They're building, they're, maps of the buildings and how there are our own town buildings. And there's some concern about the security of who should be viewing these.
Okay. That's a good answer. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Councilor Sferrazza.
4.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
4.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Bosco.
4.
Councilor Sakala. 4. Councilor Crissati.
4.
Councilor Davis.
4.
Councilor Denny.
4.
Councilor Keiner.
4.
Mayor Ludwig.
4.
Councilor Muller.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Item J, resolution, under miscellaneous, resolution waiving bids for the soil disposal service at the Enfield Water Pollution Control Facility. Whereas the Enfield, again, Water Pollution Control Facility, WPCF, is currently undergoing a major upgrade and reconstruction. Whereas during reconstruction, approximately 750 tons of contaminated non-hazardous soil was discovered and has been staged on site for transportation, off-site disposal. And whereas the Enfield Department of Public Works solicited and received 3 quotes for removal and disposal of the affected soil, as well as associated environmental testing and reporting. Whereas Fussin O'Neill submitted a February 12, 2019 quote of $29,325, inclusive of all required services, and which has more which is more complete and substantially lower in cost than competing proposals, including that of the general contractor. And whereas the stored soil is impeding progress on the water pollution control facility project, and the time is of the essence in proceeding with this removal. Whereas the Enfield Department of Public Works Administration believes that a public bidding process would create unnecessary deleterious effects of the project, and that such a process would not provide tangible benefits to the town. Now therefore be it resolved, the town council does hereby find, based on the foregoing compelling public interest, and in accordance with Chapter 5, Section 8D, that it would be against the best interest of the town to solicit bids for the soil disposal services at the Enfield Water Pollution Control Facility. Now therefore be it resolved, the Enfield Town Council does accept Fuss O'Neill's proposal submitted on February 29, 2018 by the Department of Public Works. By Councilor Muller, seconded by Deputy Mayor Suzak.
Yeah, quite simply, this is a situation that was unforeseeable. We have weekly meetings with the contractor, with our representatives from Woodard and Curran. This came about there, too, if you go out to that area, perhaps to picnic or whatever by the river. There are two large towers that were built upon concrete base. So this soil was under there. It wouldn't have been, you couldn't have tested it. It wasn't to the periphery or the sides. So when they tested it, they found out it was contaminated. Sounds bad, but it's not hazardous, which means there's no PCBs, doesn't pose a threat, but it has to be removed and sent to Chicopee, which is a regulated facility. For comparison's sake, it's about maybe 26 or 27 truckloads of soil. Fuss and O'Neill, we have a long and very good history with them. Their bid is far below anybody else. We trust them because of their track record, and we need to remove it so we don't delay the project. And we have this money, as Donna would know. There are contingencies with projects of this size. We have a contingency fund, and that's where the money will come from. So I recommend that you proceed. It is in the best interest of the town to do so. And
Councilor Denny.
Okay, so we're using Fussin and O'Neill. Is that what you said?
yeah, and one of the basic too that important that they're going to do. It's substantially low, but they're also going to do all the regulatory paperwork, which is a huge.
Woodward and Kern, see, I have a little heartburn with this, Chris, because for some reason, some of those facilities down there were built in 1934, and why wasn't this foreseen by them ahead of time? That's all. That's my thought of this when I saw this. I'm like, did anybody think about that there was any contaminants down there?
In regard to
You
this
just said
one,
it was under the concrete.
right?
Well, I don't know, but
This one, I'm, based upon what the removing it and finding it, I'm comfortable that this particular contaminant would not have been discoverable, nor would it have been envisioned that it was there. Unlike some others with buildings of that age that we know today we should be looking for, and
yes, because the building down there is about 1930 something.
yeah. We're going to have a water pollution control update. We'll be able to have that discussion at a much greater length coming soon, unfortunately.
Councilor Bosco.
Woodward and Curran, I do have big issues. I mean, just with the calculations and all this other stuff, and we pay professionals to do things, and when they do a hazardous waste assessment somewhere, and I'm sure they did borings, if you got a garage, they bore in the middle of the garage, they bore in the concrete, they do tests because there's contamination, hidden places that. And a lot of times they put concrete on top of them because they're contaminated. And, I just don't know. It just seems too much coincidence with all the other little problems we ran into. Do they have, can we go and try to go get from errors and emissions? I mean, it just seems like the town shouldn't be footing the bill every time a private individual or a company that we hire to protect our interests doesn't do their job to the right ability that they should.
Well, I would, at this point,
I mean, it has to be done, but I don't know if this should be
in
a
this
discussion.
circumstance, I have a comfort level that there is no culpability on anybody's part for not having discovered it. Having said that, the town attorney has been involved and is monitoring this project closely, as well as other town attorneys. So, attorneys for the town. So rest assured, everything that you have mentioned this evening is being looked at, and we will report as time goes forward at the water pollution.
Right, and I guess we just need to see what kind of frequency this stuff is coming up. If this is the only thing they missed, Well, people make mistakes, but if we keep finding a magnitude of these things, then I think we ought to just go a little further. Thank you.
There's some timing to the errors and omissions too, though, right? I mean, that's why there's got to be, I think, the appropriate.
I'm not going to
Yeah, I
discuss
know.
in public the town's legal avenues. If we have a report to make and we think there's something to pursue, we will do it at the appropriate time, and the town attorney will make you aware. This is not one of them.
Right, yep. Any other further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Sferrazza.
4.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crissati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Keiner.
4.
Mayor Ludwig.
Mike.
4.
Counselor Muller.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, no abstentions.
So item K, Deb didn't have listed on the suspended, she had the wrong E through
Yes,
through
we're going
J.
to make a motion to suspend the rules and move item K to miscellaneous and proceed to vote.
Motion made. Second by Counselor Muller. Any discussion? All those in favor of suspending rules, moving K to miscellaneous? Opposed? 11 in favor, 0 against. Item K under miscellaneous, resolution setting a public hearing regarding the tax incentive financing policy and Midtown Enfield Master Plan. Whereas a public hearing before adoption is statutorily required, and whereas adoption will follow after the statutory 90-day time frame lapses, now therefore be it resolved, the Enfield Town Council will hold a public hearing in the Enfield Town Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, on Monday, March 18, 2019, at 6:40 p.m. to allow interested residents an opportunity to express their opinions regarding the adoption of the TIF policy and Midtown Master Plan, prepared on March 1st, 2019 by the Town Manager's Office. By Councilor Muller, second by Councilor Crissati.
Just briefly, it was a late entry. It came in after leadership. We have a kind of a strict policy when to submit items for the agenda because there's a lot to do. Deb does a superb job doing it. I don't know how she does it without pulling her hair out. But we have some new directors, and this came in after. But it was such importance with the TIF that we scrambled to put it on and add it because we have to keep with the time frame. The TIF, as you know, is critical to our economic development. It's been referred to planning and zoning, and to keep our timeline going, we had to set the public hearing, so it's on.
My only question is, can we make an amendment to make it 6:30? I mean, we have the 6:50 public hearing for the community block grant already. I mean, I think there might be some people who'd like to talk on this, so let's give them a little time. Is that all right? We have 6:40 listed. A motion to change it to 6:30? Seconded by Councilor Denny, motion made by myself. So it'll read on Monday, March 18, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Any discussion on the amendment to the resolution? Hearing none, by show of hands to the amendment of the resolution, all those in favor? Opposed? We have 11 in favor, 0 against on the amendment. Now the motion as amended. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Sferrazza. Deputy Mayor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala. Counselor Crissati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Keiner.
4.
Mayor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Muller. 4. There's 11 in favor, none against, no abstentions.
Moving to item 16, public communications. Do we have anyone who'd like to speak for the council at this time? Charlotte? It'll be for 3 minutes, and of course, we ask people to refrain from personalities. Welcome.
Hi, Charlotte Riley, 55 John Dot Drive. I'm also Vice Chairman on the Board of Education, and I wanted to see if maybe we could work together. I have some concerns, and I've brought it up before at a Board of Ed meeting, but you guys seem to have a bigger audience than we do. So I have some concerns that if and when tolls do come, and increased traffic comes up on Route 5. I'm concerned about our brand-new drivers at the high school pulling in there and our families at Enfield Street School, just down the street from them, pulling into their school as well. So maybe working together, we could speak with our representatives to spark up the conversation again about the light on Route 5 for the high school, or expand that study to include Enfield Street School as well. I'm just concerned about the safety with possibility of increased traffic. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak for the council? Lucian.
Lucian Lefebvre, 54 Kimberly Drive. As the commander of Post 154, I'd like to thank everybody. This is the first chance I get since the Fort Chaplains Mass to come and attend one of these meetings. And I'd just like to say thank you to all the council members that were able to attend, town manager, a member of the Board of Ed, and that we did have the lieutenant governor and one of our state reps there. It was good to see all your smiling faces out there. And I hope you come back again next year.
It's good
Thank
to
you.
see your smiling face as well. Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak for the council? Hearing none, I declare public communications closed. Item 19, councilor communications. Any councilor have any communication? Excuse me, item 17, councilor communications. Hearing none. Item 18, do I have a motion to adjourn? By Councilor Saraza, second by Councilor Muller. All those in favor? Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Meeting's adjourned.